This is Noise. Listener, can you hear me? Kept you waiting, huh? Looks like there's more content at pixelbenders.com. You'll have to click the link in the description below to access the site. You can send your questions to info@pixel-benders.com. If you would like to leave us a message, our frequency is 209-791-0995. Got it? Okay, you're ready to go. Welcome back, everybody, to Codec Calls, a Metal Gear Saga podcast, where we play the Metal Gear games from 1987 all the way to the present in chronological release date order. I am accompanied once again by my two co-hosts, German, aka Contra, aka Riser.
Hey, what's up?
And also, Dammit Kriss, aka Kriss, the world's worst gamer. Did I get it?
You got it. Welcome,
okay.
Everyone. How you doing?
We've been playing these Metal Gear games for like over a month now, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that we've actually gotten this far. We are now on the second part of our Metal Gear Solid playthrough. Last week, we played through the first part, which was up to the Cyborg Ninja fight. And I think the way we did it last week worked out really well. So if we could just kind of keep it that way, where we talk about the gameplay, like the actual game mechanics and gameplay that we got to, all the way to the sixth boss fight, and then we can discuss the story, and then after that we can discuss like I think we were doing like Easter eggs and
trivia stuff like that.
At the end.
Yeah.
That seemed to work out really well. Like when I was editing the podcasts for last week, I was like, oh, everything's flowing very well. I have some notes for myself. The first note that I have for myself from last week's episode is apologies to German.
Why?
Because after we talked about the Ocelot fight, German wanted to talk about the ninja showing up. And for some reason, I thought he was skipping over to the Cyborg Ninja fight.
No.
We did clear that up in the episode, but in my brain, I was like, what the fuck?
No, I kept saying the wrong terms too. I kept saying that he reveals himself, meaning like he uncloaks himself, not like his face and stuff like that. Because obviously that's the first time you see him, so you're always like, at least I was like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, I'm gonna get to fight some badass fucking robot ninja.
Yeah.
So that's first impressions, and even though you don't get to fight him, I always think of him as part of Ocelot's fight, Yes. Which, actually, since we're already recording, it makes me think. I always wondered, and I never got to ask him last time, how would the fight have gone had the ninja not stepped in? Because Ocelot was about to get ready. He was about to get serious.
He said, I'm just getting warmed up, he said.
Yep. And then Ninja comes in and chops his arm off. And Luis, knowing the future of the games, I wonder, had that not happened...
Oh, man.
What would it affect?
The ramifications.
What kind of paradoxes would it created, So, interesting.
Speaking of paradoxes, we'll come back to it, but I wonder if Kriss caused a paradox in this. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, German.
Paradox. Meryyyyyll?
No, there is somebody...
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Okay. We'll get to it, Kriss. We'll name him, and then you'll be like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So another note that I have for myself is, because as I was editing, I heard Kriss saying that he didn't know if, pressing up against walls and knocking on walls was going to be a thing later in the game. That is a thing from the beginning of the game. You can totally knock on the walls, Kriss.
Okay.
I don't know if you discovered that on your own.
I did, yeah.
Okay, good. So I just, because we didn't talk about that at all, that carried over from Metal Gear 2.
Yeah.
It's a fun mechanic. While I was playing for this episode, I remembered that if you knock on the wall while the guards are peeing in the urinal, they go like, huh? Like, well, I think they say what was that noise or something, but they don't move away because they're still peeing. So they don't like, pinch it off and go investigate. So that's a cool little detail. Another thing I wanted to point out is I forgot to mention it last time, is if you press the elevator button twice, it brings the elevator instantly to you, so you don't have to wait for it to come to you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever done that.
No, you've never done that? Yeah, it's a speedrun strat, but I remember doing it back in the day, and I didn't remember until I started speedrunning again, and I was like, oh yeah, that totally does work. And then I also mentioned that David Hayter wrote Watchmen, and I forgot that there's a show also called Watchmen. He wrote the screenplay for the movie adaptation of the comic book.
Okay.
What else do we have here? Oh, the DualShock was released 1 year before Metal Gear Solid. So,
oh, really?
So Kojima did have access to the analog sticks, so that's why they're built in. I guess my thought was that he had advanced knowledge or access to it, which
sure,
Kojima kind of does. After this game, he does kind of have access to early technology for the upcoming sequels because he just became like a super trusted developer by Sony, especially. Did we talk about the fact that Meryyyyyll is Campbell's niece?
We didn't?
I don't think we did, no.
We didn't mention it, no.
But you did know, right, Kriss?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure about that. The stealth camo effect, I don't think we really gave it its props. That effect on a PS1 actually blows my mind.
Yeah.
The fact that it's bending light and like magnifying something or whatever it's doing, amazing that they did that on a PS1.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then another thing we didn't discuss is there's some supernatural things happening, right, Kriss?
Yes? Question mark?
All right, so we'll discuss the supernatural stuff here pretty soon because it is part of the first boss fight. And full disclosure also, I forgot to play the game up to the 6th boss until today.
Huh.
So on my lunch break, I played through half of that. And then as soon as I got home, I finished that part. I was like, holy shit, I forgot. I haven't seen the cutscenes in a while. So I was like, I need to know what's going on. I have it memorized, but still I was like, I might miss something.
Yeah, little details.
Alrighty, so Kriss.
Yeah.
What happened? What was your experience with the game, with the gameplay?
Well, it's funny you should mention you forgot to play until today. I didn't have that issue. However, and I think I told you this noise before, I saved over my previous save.
Oh, that's
when
right.
I played it on hard mode. And so when I resumed, it had me just before the Ocelot fight. And I was like, no, you got to be kidding me. Which is basically the beginning of the game. Like, it's not very far in. And so I had to do that. And this was Sunday night, I think I started playing it. So I was already under stress. Like, crap, half the week's over already. I have to get this all done by Wednesday. Am I going to do it? And I was like, I'm just going to knuckle down. I'm just going to do my best. If I can't do it by Wednesday, I can't do it, but I'm going to get as far as I can. And Sunday night, I had gotten back to after the ninja fight, the third boss. And so I was like, okay, at least I'm caught up now. I have, 2 or 3 days now to do the rest of it. I said I should be okay, but we'll see. And then Monday, I think it was, I had actually on Discord, I had streamed it. And I had gotten to Hind D, the 6th fight. And I was losing, and I was like, oh, I gotta go soon. I gotta make dinner and everything. So, but I have, 2 days to do this fight, so I should be fine. And then my last run on that, I ended up beating him with the Stinger missiles, and I was like, yes, I did it. But it was a very interesting experience. Psycho Mantis, in particular, took me a little while to figure out.
Yeah.
I was streaming while playing that, and I remember one of my friends, Hey Jay, shout out to him. He's an awesome streamer, awesome guy. Check him out if you get the chance to. On Twitch at HeyJW. He's been very good about like not spoiling anything and giving me hints when I need it and stuff like that. And he's like, always use your codec calls, and ask Miller and all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, all right, fine, I'll call someone. And I remember it was my third attempt at it. I had just finished the call where they were talking about like, oh, Merylly's being taken over. You can't kill her though. Don't use your weapon kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And so like immediately after that, I was like, okay, I'll try a couple more times. I'll try a couple more things and I'll call someone. and I just happened to get a call myself. Like they called me on the codec, and I think it was the master had called me as like, oh, well, if you plug it in your controller to port 2, he won't be able to read your mind. I was like, oh, and I could have sworn that either you or German had brought that up before. Had talked about like plugging in the second controller or something like that. I don't think you said what it was for, but I remember you talking about that. I was like, oh, okay, that's what they meant. I
think Luis, I remember when he dropped the hint, he was like, oh, and here's the menu if you ever need to mess with like audio or controllers, do whatever, you know. I was like, hint.
Yeah, turn on analog if you need to change to second controller for any reason. I don't know why you would.
I don't know, just you never know, Kriss, you never know. I remember that hint so hard. I was like, yeah. And I even knew, I was like, he's definitely not gonna remember like immediately. Obviously, I wasn't trying to bag on you, but I'm like, because it's just such a just in case you need to change any settings. Wink, wink. You know.
Yeah, if I didn't tell him that, like, how do you change the controller port on if you're emulating it or on the PS3?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, did you ever own a PS3, Kriss?
I've never owned a PS3. No.
Yeah, so if you don't own one, you don't know that you press the PlayStation button and it brings up a whole menu, and you can one thing I discovered this last week is you can assign memory cards, which I didn't know. So I always thought you were stuck with 2 memory cards for PS1 games and PS2 games, but you can create as many memory cards as you want on your PS3 system, and then you just assign them to the PlayStation. So it's like you kind of like you're emulating pulling a memory card out and putting one in. I was like, whoa, that's new to me.
That's cool, yeah. So I did have to finagle around with that a little bit. Didn't take me too long to figure it out, but I eventually got that figured out, and then plugged in a second controller. And then I remember going about the fight, because the first couple times I had fought him, I was able to do some damage to him. Like I remember one time I was using guns, I was trying to hit him and everything, it wasn't working. So I was like, okay, well I also have grenades. So I tried the chaff grenade first, thinking like, is there some sort of electronic thing that I can interfere with? And that didn't do anything. So I was like, all right. So I just started lobbing like regular grenades, and I noticed he was taking damage from those. The only thing was I was also taking damage from them.
Don't they explode right away?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Okay.
Never tried throwing grenades at Psycho Mantis. That's funny.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and I thought it was weird. I was like, am I cooking them too long or something? Like, what's going on? So I'd like just barely tap the button, and I'd start running the opposite direction, and as soon as it hit the ground, it would explode, and I'd take a bunch of damage.
Yeah.
And I ended up dying doing that, and so I was like, okay, that's not going to be right. There's got to be some other way. And then that's when they said, oh, plug your controller into port 2, and so I figured all that out and did that, and it was considerably easier at that point going forward. But yeah, so it took me a little while to get that figured out, and then I think like that fight I still ended up dying, I think, probably, which no surprise if you know me. And then I think the fight after that I was able to beat him and go on from there. Yeah, it was an interesting experience. It took me a little while, but I figured it out. And of course after that was Sniper Wolf, if I remember correctly.
How'd you fare against the wolves?
Oh, yeah. So I was so confused at first, because she's like, "Oh, follow me. I'll lead you there." And so like I saw that she ran up and to the right, so I was like, "Okay." So I ran to the right, and you couldn't go down, like there was a dead end there. So I went up, and I saw there's that hole in the wall. I was like, "Do I have to crawl through here? Like, do I have to throw grenades?" So I'm shooting it. I'm trying to crawl. I threw grenades at it. Like I was doing all sorts of stuff. I was like, "How am I supposed to get through there? What is going on?" And then I went back and I saw there was that little thing that kind of went up to the left, that diagonal area. And I was like, what is this? And like another dead end, seemingly. It's like, okay, so where am I supposed to go? And I think at one point I like went into first person view. And that's when I saw the little like opening on the bottom. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I didn't see that. Okay. So I crawled under there. I remember her talk about the wolves before, or someone talked about the wolves. It might have been a codec call. Yeah, I think it was a codec call, and they said, they have an advantage in the dark or something. And so I turned on my night vision goggles, and it was like super bright in there because the lights and everything. But then when I crawled under that and went into the actual cave, it made a lot more sense. Yeah, the first time I died, I didn't know what was going on. I thought when I like shot them the first time when they fell over, I thought they were dead. And then I like kept going, and all of a sudden I had like 5 of them on top of me, and they just wiped me out. But yeah.
I forgot that they're invincible.
Yeah. Well, you have to shoot them a few times, and they die.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. You just murdered wolves, man. What the hell?
Yeah. What can I say?
I agree with you on that part. I do remember being super like unclear. She literally just turns the corner, if you will, and then she's freaking gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, where the fuck did you go? You know, like even this recent playthrough, I was like, you know, or at least this recent revisit, I guess. I know I had to crawl, right? Because I've beaten it. I've played this game. But I remember and like that crawl hole isn't quite visible. Like, you're going to miss it the first time. You're not going to see it. You're going to go to that same place you're talking about where you can see the crack. And you're like, where do I go? What do I... I do remember...
Yeah, and you can clearly see her through it, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, she's right there on the other side, and how do I get there?
Yeah. I remember going through the same thing. I particularly hate that part. I don't know. Maybe it just rubs me the wrong way that it's not clear you had to crawl, and I don't know how I knew to crawl the first time I ever played it, so... But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I followed her, too, and I was like, okay, what? Like, I think I tried maybe the same things Kriss was doing, like, because it
grenades and Nikita missiles probably the works.
Yeah, because it looks like my video game brain was like, this is a thin wall, like this is just a texture. It's not a solid wall. You know, I can see the transparency of this texture, so it's clearly something I can blow up.
Well, also think about this. That's supposed to be like the alternate route because the other route gets frozen or some bullshit, right? So you're telling me everybody, scientists, soldiers, everyone has to crawl through there? Everyone else just crawl. The fucking general or whatever office you're in, what kind of the commander's office, he has to crawl through there to get to the next freaking building. You're like, really? Okay.
Yeah, Psycho Mantis should at least mention, oh, by the way, there's no real way to get through there because it's frozen or some shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a cave-in or something like that at the very minimum, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, so eventually I got over there, got to her and everything, and then the whole, like, the puppy thing, I felt bad because I started shooting at that, too, and she's like, oh no, not the puppy. You're not good at dogs, are you? Or good with dogs, are you? I was like, oh, crap, whoops.
Bro, you're a musher, and you're beating down on dogs?
Yeah.
You're like Homer in the Simpsons movie. Mush, mush, jump, jump, land, land, rest.
That was one of the funniest jokes in that movie for sure. I definitely like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then got through there, and then the whole scene where Meryl's getting shot and everything, and then you contact Otacon, or he contacts you, and he's like, oh, you need to get a sniper rifle, and like, where am I going to get that? Oh, you have to go way back here. And like, that bugs me, because, am I wrong? At the end of the scene, after you beat the ninja guy, the robo ninja guy, doesn't he tell you, like, oh, I can use my camouflage to get you supplies and ammo and guns and stuff? So why isn't he? Like,
I don't know, Kriss. What do you mean? What do you mean somebody else is going to do something for you on a video game?
Yeah, I guess I should have known, yeah. But yeah, it's just like, he tells you this at the end of the fight, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's convenient, you know? Like, if I need to, like, I assume it's not going to be, like, everything in the game or whatever, like, unlimited, but figure, like, oh, you get, like, you know, maybe once or twice per boss or something, you get, like, oh, I need some rations. Oh, yeah, I'll grab you some, and even if you have to, like, meet them somewhere in between or whatever, that's fine. But
yeah, I agree with you on that. That would have been...
I think it's funny that that's one of the things you remembered from the cutscenes, Kriss. And I had to tell you about, or remind you about the fact that that Otacon mentions Meryl's ass so that you can find her.
Otacon mentions it?
Yeah, so when in that long ass cutscene, you know, that what else do they talk about? I mean, because he talks about the Hiroshima bomb and all this and that, and then there's a call from Meryl, and Meryl's like, oh no, they've spotted me. And she runs off, and then Otacon mentions, you're going to have to get in contact with her, right? Like, there's only one real place where you can, you know, discreetly
be alone with
approach
her.
Yeah. And what does Snake say? He says something like, where would that be? And Otacon's like, don't be so dense, right? Like, you idiot, there's bathrooms. But also he mentions that she's disguised as a soldier, and he's like, well, how am I going to be able to tell who it is? And he's like, well, she had such a cute way of walking. And that's what, like, reminds you again, like, oh yeah. And then they even flash back to her, to that scene where you're looking straight at her butt.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so Kriss remembers that Otacon said he was going to bring him ammo and supplies, which he does not whatsoever in this game. But that would have been a cool mechanic.
Yeah. So yeah, I had to backtrack all the way back to like I think the tank hangar, like to basement 2 or something like that.
Yep,
or basement
the armory.
1. Yeah, had to go way back there. And I will say this: in this game, it is much easier to backtrack and travel between the different buildings and stuff than it was in the previous games. And so I will give it that. Like it's you don't have to worry about like, oh, I have to go through like 20 different screens and avoid all these guards and stuff. Like, yeah, you have to avoid guards and you have to go through different screens, but it's
or just use the waterways in Metal Gear 2.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. So,
The waterways,
you know. But yeah, so I backtracked and got that and some ammo and everything, and I was like, okay, it kind of makes sense because you have the new card now. I think they gave you like card 5 at that point.
And that is a good thing. You do get to stock up on ammo and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe, did you find, I remember I mentioned last time that there may or may not be more walls to blow up. Did you find any of those?
I haven't yet, but I've honestly not been looking for them really.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you were going to remember that I mentioned that.
Yeah. I did remember you mentioned that, and actually when I started playing on Sunday, I remember thinking about that, like, oh, Noise mentioned that, so I should look out for those. And then just other things happened and I forgot, so.
So I will mention it now, just because the items in there are not like huge or spoilers or items you don't have. But in the north part of the wall, on either side of the elevator, there's 2 more walls you can blow up.
Okay.
And on the top, the northwest wall that you blow up, there is chaff grenades and stun grenades. And in the northeast wall, there are more SOCOM bullets and more C4. So
okay,
that's
cool.
all there is. But I just didn't know if you happen to find those as well. Because I remember you were like, I'm at a C4. And it's like, yeah, they're behind that wall you have to blow up. But now that you don't have a C4, you can't blow it up to restock.
Yeah. Yeah, so I went back, got the sniper rifle, and came back and...
You set off the lasers?
Of course, yeah, I saw the
Nice.
lasers.
Oh, you saw them or you set them off?
Oh, no, I didn't set them off, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I got the sniper rifle, came back. It took me a good... it felt like a minute, but it was probably closer to 30 seconds or so to figure out how to use the weapon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And what I mean by that is, like, when you equip the weapon, you're automatically just prone on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, what's going on? And so then I'm moving around, like, okay, where is she? Like, where is she hiding? Blah, blah, blah. And I remember there was one particular time I was fighting her, and I got really frustrated because I would, like, she hits you, and it, like, knocks you to one side, right? And then you have to, like, aim back. And so at first I was using just the D-pad. And I'm using the D-pad, and I learned later that the D-pad is more accurate but slower than using the joysticks.
Yeah.
So then I started using the joysticks. But then I would pass her, and like she would shoot me, and I'd get knocked back the other way. And I'd go to aim at her again, she'd shoot me, and I'd get knocked back the other way. And then, like I died 3 times doing that. And it was just like, gosh dang it, how am I supposed to do this? And then what I would start to do is I would like get in a position on the ground. I would start out prone on the ground, and I would get in a position where I was already looking like towards her, that direction. And then I would equip the weapon, and then I would like it wouldn't take as much movement, and it took me like probably a good 4 or 5 tries to figure that out. So I was a bit of a slow learner.
I think that's the way we do it, right, German? Like you line up where you're gonna face, then you equip the weapon.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think we all had that same experience at the beginning where it was like, what am I doing? Where am I aiming?
Well, not only that, it's the way it even zooms in is kind of weird because, like, you think you know where you're looking at, but then it kind of still zooms in somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I will admit, since this whole playthrough, I've only used D-pad.
Oh.
I didn't know, and when I first, like I said, played the game back many years ago, I would forcibly use D-pad as well, but I didn't know the joystick moves faster. So that's something new.
That's what it seemed like to me.
It seemed like? Okay. I don't
Yeah,
know
you could definitely line up your shot like quickly, like in a general area, and then, like Kriss said, use the D-pad to just kind of like fine tune it.
Yeah,
I did not know that. I did not. Yeah, so that's something I didn't know. Because when I first played it back in the day, it was definitely not the DualShock. It was just a regular old PlayStation controller. So D-pad only.
You had that original PlayStation?
Well, I didn't remember it was from this guy named George.
That's right.
It was George's. So
I've never actually touched an original PlayStation.
Oh yeah, no, I did.
It's so weird looking without the joysticks.
It's so much lighter. It's lighter too, honestly. And then I do remember when I first got the DualShock, I was like, "Oh, this is sick," you know. But at that point, I again still never owned one. But it was past Metal Gear stage. I think I was probably playing God knows what else on PlayStation at that time from a friend's house. And then after that was DualShock 2. So after that, I never tried D-pad on any game unless it was specifically made for D-pad.
Yeah, like fighting games for sure.
Yeah, exactly. If it was something like that, D-pad. But if it was any other PlayStation 2 game, it's always been joysticks, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, so eventually I beat her. And surprisingly, it didn't take me too long.
Did you know about the diazepam?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Because I had gotten that before in one of those rooms, and I was like, what is this? Because I saw it was in one of those, like a health box, basically. So I was like, is this another form of ration? Is this like, does it heal you? And so I looked at the description. Yeah. Yeah.
Will there be acid?
Yeah. And so I looked at it, and it said something about, like, calms your nerves and helps you hold steady or something. So I was like, okay, I assume that has to do with aiming.
Yeah.
And then, when I got the sniper rifle and I first used it and I saw it was like all shaky, I was like, oh, must be when you use that. So I used it, and sure enough, it steadied it up. But yeah, so I beat her. Didn't take me too long. I think like maybe 5-10 minutes, something like that. It was like my 4th or 5th try I had beaten her. And I went on from there, and I went under the thing and collected a lot of stuff, went up to where she was because I thought that's where I was supposed to go. And she wasn't there, and I collected all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll go to the right and see what's over there. And I saw that door, and then they trap you, and they, take you into the torture chamber, or whatever they call it. And
which, by the way, what sets off the alarm?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, because I just played it like just now, and I'm like, wait, there was like an alarm sound. There's no lasers. There's no camera. Yeah. All of a sudden, it's just like read, don't move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, that's true. Anyway, so they take you in, and Ocelot does the whole thing of like, I'm going to electrocute you, and the whole like, if you want to press select to end it, but it's going to cost Meryl's life. And so I was like, okay, I assume that's not an option or something. And then one thing I did like about it that he pointed out was like, if you die, there's no continue. It's just game over. And at first I was like, does he mean like when you actually die, like the continue screen that doesn't exist? And so
if you die in real life, there's no continue. So don't die while playing the game.
Yeah. So I was able to get through that just barely. Like I just barely survived. I had just a sliver of health at the end. And they put you into that cell thing. And I remember the colonel calls you, and he's like, you need to find a way out. Like, just keep in mind that, everyone has to go to the bathroom, and maybe you need to hide or something. So I was like, okay, so I need to hide under the bed or something, And so I go hide under the bed, and I remember the guard's like, what are you doing? That's silly, or something like that. And don't do that. That's weird. And then, I came out, and you were talking about, did I knock on the walls? Well, this part of the game I did. I just
shut
went
up
out
in there,
there.
will ya?
Yeah. Shut up in there, will ya? Shut up. Shut up. Just over and over.
It's so great tormenting him.
I loved it so much. And then he comes over to the door, and he's like, oh, it's time for you to go again. And I was like, what? Like, am I getting set free? Like, is someone going to interfere in this? And it takes you back to the torture chamber. And I was like, I must have missed something. What's going on? And then that time I had died.
Oh, no.
And of course, I died. And of course, no continue. So it's like,
when was the last time you saved?
Oh, it was before the sniper fight, right after right after Psycho Mantis. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so I had to go back and do that all again. And I swear that Sniper Wolf was 3 times harder on that second go around than she was any other time. And I was streaming all this the whole time too. And I remember I told Hey Jay about it, and there's a joke back when I was streaming. I was playing Kingdom Hearts, and there was a time I ended stream. I don't know if you ever played it, Noise. I know you have, German.
The first one?
The Cerberus fight.
Kingdom Hearts?
In the Coliseum.
Oh, no, I never got that
and
far.
I could have sworn I had saved after that. But I picked up the stream the next day, and it picked up at the Cerberus fight again. And so that's been a whole thing. It's been a whole joke amongst my channel and people who watch everything. Oh, the Cerberus fight all over again.
Oh,
and so they were joking about the same thing. Like, oh, it's the Cerberus fight all over again.
There's nothing worse than booting up a file or dying and then being like, oh no, when's the last time I say? And you're like,
yeah,
I've done it. I think everyone who's a gamer has done it. When you realize how much progress, you're like, well, the classic SpongeBob, I'm gonna head out. Just like just take off your headphones, put it down, beep, turn off. I'm out. I'm out.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's more of a classic gamer thing. There's so many autosaves nowadays.
Yeah. True.
There are certain games though that still kind of have that
manual save.
Maybe not manual save, but also just like long checkpoints.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the reason I'll mention it now, the reason I wasn't playing Metal Gear Solid is because I went on a Last of Us kick and I installed it on my PS3. And dude, some of those sections, the checkpoint is so far back, or the encounter, like the checkpoint is before, like, do you remember the part where you're pushing the car and Ellie has to pop the clutch?
Yeah.
Dude, every single time you fail that, you have to go all the way back to the house, pick up all the items that you left around the house that you didn't pick up, have the conversations with Bill about the letter, have the conversation with Ellie that she's doing great. And I'm like, I want to get these 100%. But yeah, by the time I finally beat it, I was like, I don't even care about all the items I'm leaving behind. I'm just, I just want to beat this part because I'm going to kill myself. This is awful. But yeah, that's more of a classic gamer thing. It's just like, dude, when did I save last? And did I just fuck myself over for the rest of the day?
Kriss.
Like, I'm going to bed.
I mean, it sucks, but I'm also glad you got to experience that as well, Kriss.
Oh yeah,
that's part of the game.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that I haven't seen that game over in a while.
And, no, neither have I.
And I always know to save beforehand. Oddly enough, if you call Mei Ling right before that, she says, hey, wouldn't now be a good time to save? And Snake's like, what? What do you mean? What's going on? And she's like, I don't know. I have like just a bad feeling, like a premonition or something.
I remember when I finally beat her again, and I was streaming it, and I remember HJ said, now remember to save. And I was like, okay.
Oh, okay, so you had the conversation.
Yeah, she said something like that, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. See, for me, this playthrough, I for some reason thought that she captured you when you went up to the stairs to go see where her body would be,
Oh, yeah, because there's a blood trail.
Yeah. So, like, I was like, oh, I don't want to trigger that cutscene yet. I thought to myself, I'm going to explore down here and pick up the ammo or whatever. And I went too far right and I'm like, you son of a bitch. I'm like, oh, well. I'm like, and I wasn't too afraid. I'm like, I know I can make this section. But I'm like, fuck, I am old. I have noticed my button mashing skills have diminished a lot, So I'm like, what if I do die? But I'm like, nah, I can make it, and I know how to get out of the prison in many different fashions, so I should be fine. And I was fine.
And then I thought it was interesting, too, another thing that Ocelot had mentioned was like, don't turn on the turbo buttons or whatever, because I'll know. And I was like, ooh, like, I don't know if they actually will know. I would assume that's an ability of the PlayStation at the time, but like, that's an interesting thing to say. Even if it's a bluff. Like, I wonder how many kids playing this game would call that bluff,
So I believed him, but it's a bluff.
Oh.
The PlayStation does not know if you have turbo on or not.
I guess, yeah, I believe them as well, but I, again, was using the default or whatever
Yeah, I never had a turbo controller or anything like that, but
neither did I. So.
If you emulate the turbo, he can't detect it whatsoever. So
that would have been much easier then.
Yeah.
Now, I powered through. I'm glad I did, but that would have made it easier.
And
sure.
And with the emulator you're using, like turning the turbo on for some reason is not as simple as like, hey, this button is turbo. Like there's like a whole process to it, and like it for me, it's not even worth it. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna turn on the turbo. But yeah, so you made it. Did you make it through the second one?
I did. Yeah, I made it through the second one. I didn't have to submit or whatever it was, and I was like, yes, because I didn't know if you do submit, I don't know if that's another game over, and I didn't want to like, oh, is this an easy out? And let's try it. Like, I might try it now that I've gotten past it in my second playthrough or something, but like, I didn't want to just like do that and like, oh, game over anyway. It's like, cool. So I have to do it anyway. Like, I might as well just do it. So I did that, and then went back into the cell again, and the whole noises of him having indigestion, all that kind of stuff, that was hilarious. And then running to the bathroom, and then Dr. Otacon shows up, and he gives you I thought it was funny. He gives you a little can, which I assume is a ration, and a bottle of ketchup. Like, what am I supposed to do with the ketchup? And then, he goes into his little speech thing again, and like, oh, I want to help you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, do this. Get me out of here. I can't. Then what are you doing here? Like,
and even Snake says something like, then what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You're going to have to take out the guard. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
No, I'm no soldier.
Yeah.
God damn it, Otacon.
Yeah, and then he gives you the card key when you get out of there. He's like, yeah, this is how you get out of here. And I was like, okay. And I remember, like, I got stuck for a while. Like, I didn't know how to get out of there. I beat the guy because he comes back. He's like, oh, what's going on? And so I beat him and went and got my supplies and everything. And I like
Wait. How'd you get out?
Oh, yeah. How'd you get out?
I hid under the bed.
When he went to the bathroom?
And, when he went to the bathroom, and then Dr. Otto's like, oh, he's coming back. I should go now. And so he leaves, and then, he was like, oh, let me get under the bed now. Because I got under the bed before.
When he was there.
When the guy was, when he first went to the bathroom. And then Dr. Otto came in, he's like, oh, I'm here. And he's just looking at you through the opening there. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I got to go talk to him. And so I did that, and then, the guy was coming back, and I went back under the bed. He's like, wait, where'd he go? Which I thought was funny because he could see me before, apparently, under the bed from out there. So why can't he see me now?
I think if you attempt the under the bed thing in the same torture break when he goes to the bathroom, he'll know that you're under the bed, right? Because he saw you go under there, and he's like, what the hell are you doing?
That makes sense, yeah.
So if you do it in that spot, then he'll know. But if I think it refreshes every time you go to the torture room. So the second time you didn't crawl under the bed, so he just kind of I don't know, that guard is an idiot.
Yeah.
So did you kill him? You said you beat him.
Well, I had knocked him out apparently or something because he was on the floor with the stars above his head.
Okay. Oh, so you kick it or kicked him?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and that sent him into instant knockout?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it a couple times, and I was like, because I figured I had to fight or something, but I didn't know if I was going to, do I steal his weapon? Am I supposed to flip him over? Do I have to lock him in there? What do I do? And so I did the punch-kick combo thing a couple times, and yeah, he was knocked out.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I guess that's all I need to do. And then I, ran out and into the other room where the torturing was happening. And I got the little box, and I remember he goes behind the thing, does his quick change, and comes right back out again. And
so Kriss did not create a paradox.
No.
German. So we'll discuss that in the next game.
Okay, very good. So yeah, I went and did the quick change. Everything came back, and I was like, "Where am I supposed to go now?" Because there's a camera right there, and it's not moving. And so I was like, "What am I supposed to do? Where do I go?" So I ran around that room to see what I could find, and I went in the bathroom over there, and I can't remember if there was supplies in there or not. I think there was something. And I came back out and went in the other room again where the cell was, and nothing in here. So I think it took me a little while to figure out how to get to the next area.
Oh, but you grabbed your stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. Yeah. Can we do a quick back step? I don't remember what we were doing last time, what kind of setup or format we were doing, but we kind of glossed over something too. Was a story. Are we doing story with each boss section kind of or no?
Oh, we can. Yeah.
Well, what did we do last time? I don't remember. Weren't we bringing up certain points that were
every once in a while? Yeah.
Oh, well, because I was gonna say, Kriss, did you being in that cell with the DARPA chief, did that make you think of anything, or what did you feel about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very key point.
So I was a little confused at first with that because it had the little things on him. And I was like, is that supposed to be stitching? I wasn't sure. And then, the third or fourth time I was in there, I was like, oh, it's probably maggots because they talk about, his blood was drained and, he was smelling bad and everything in there and stuff like that. So I was like, oh.
He's decomposing already, a bunch.
Yeah. Well, I remember when we did the call, I think after I beat the guy, you get the call and you talk to the colonel and what's her name?
Naomi,
yeah. And they're like, oh, didn't he just die a few hours ago? And you're like, yeah, why is he already this decomposed and stuff? And so, yeah, I thought that was interesting.
By the way, can I say that I wish Naomi had her own frequency?
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an empty slot too, so she could have had
I
one.
like Naomi. Mei Ling is still Bay though.
Naomi, Bay, yeah.
Who's Bay to you, German?
I don't know. I guess Naomi for me.
Right?
I think she's, yeah.
In this game.
In this game.
Not to say that she's in another game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Kriss, who's Bay to you so far? Have you talked to Nastasha at all?
You know what? Nastasha's
have, yeah.
Okay. Nastasha's. I like Nastasha, I think, overall. I don't know. They're all pretty good, but Nastasha, just that Russian or whatever accent she had, and the fact that she had a cigarette in her mouth always made me think like she's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
She's a badass.
Pleasure to work with you, Solid Snake.
Yeah.
She was always pretty cool.
I don't know. I'd have to say Meryyyyyll.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Why the fuck? No, Meryyyyyll is. I love Meryyyyyll. She's cool.
I don't.
You don't like Meryyyyyll? I do find her whiny. I won't lie, but I did like her a lot. Something, I don't know, whatever it was. Maybe it was probably one of the first.
She lacks confidence to me, and the woman that has the most confidence in this game to me is actually Mei Ling.
That's true, yeah.
I know Nastasha is also like very confident, but she's like a soldier, so it's kind of built into her. But for me, Mei Ling is like, she's just very confident in what she does, and she's a fucking computer nerd. What did she say to me today when I saved after the torture part, I think, when you go back to the canyon again.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, don't forget to save your memories of me too.
No.
And I think you've had that conversation with her, right?
Yeah.
Have you guys?
Yep.
And Snake gets real deep about it, and he's like, you can't save memories. They're like fragile things, and if you break them down to binary, they become something else, blah, blah, blah. But she's like so confident that it's like, it's only a matter of time, Snake.
Yeah.
She says that. Record memories.
She says it's only a matter of time before even that will be, digital or whatever she says.
When she said that to me, I was like, yep, I remember. This is why I like you. Yep. You're so fucking stubborn with your tech. I get you. Anyway,
I'm still stick to Meryyyyyll. I won't lie about that. For some reason, I just kind of I was seeing Codec only, like, because I never call Meryyyyyll. She never really answers. But Bay, I think Meryyyyyll. Meryyyll's my Bay.
Okay, Team Meryyyyyll over there on Kriss and German's.
Yeah.
Team Mei Ling. No,
I like Mei Ling, but Meryyyll's my favorite. Yeah,
they're all likable to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Okay,
anyway,
so DARPA Chief has maggots on him. He's decomposed a little too much. What are your thoughts on that? Kriss, what the hell do you think is going on with that?
Well, they mentioned like they had drained his blood or something like that, and I remember Naomi's like, oh, possibly to preserve him. And I was like, how would that preserve him? Like, I don't know a lot about that kind of stuff, but like that doesn't make any sense. So I know this is going off of last time, and I know Colonel kind of admitted at one point, like, oh yeah, there's been stuff I haven't been able to tell you, blah blah blah, but it's not my fault. And it's like, but it is your fault because you can tell me this stuff, and like you're telling me now, so it's not like you aren't allowed to tell me, you just didn't want to. So
almost reminiscent of Big Boss's I forgot to tell you, there's gas in there.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that was another thing they brought up was Big Boss's remains were needed for something.
Yes.
But
because they aren't giving in to the demands.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about Naomi and Colonel especially, but I think Naomi might be involved as well. I think there's something they're not telling me. Like I said, Colonel definitely, but I think Naomi, whether intentional or not, is withholding information as well. So
I'm going to bring up something that we didn't really take a note of last episode. There is a flashback or a flash sideways or some kind of scene that happens after the firefight with Meryyyyyll and all those soldiers after the cell escape.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that, Kriss? There was they were in that torture room that you're in now, and it's Ocelot, Liquid, and Psycho Mantis, and they're surrounding the torture device and saying, "You fool, you've killed him," and Ocelot's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't think a pencil pusher like him would be so like he would be so tough." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Psycho Mantis says something like, "Wait, I have an idea," and then it cuts back to fucking Meryyyyyll shooting at you and then escaping in the elevator. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
Does that connect kind of with what's going on right now, or like yeah, now that I refreshed your mind with that, like, what do you think of that with the dead DARPA chief body in there?
So, does that mean the DARPA chief that I talked to in the first cell wasn't the real one?
I don't know, because that's what it looked like. His body looked like it was on that torture chamber thing, right?
Yeah. Huh. And he and the president guy both had heart attacks, so I wonder if that's a connection to the torture device?
Maybe.
You got me thinking now, and I don't like this.
All right. So I think
interesting.
Yeah, I think we've covered as much as we could with the DARPA chief without.
Yeah. No, like I said, I just wanted to touch on it before we like kind of maybe forgot or something.
No, I'm glad you brought it up because obviously we'll go over it again with the story part, but yeah, I literally forgot he was in the room until you mentioned him.
Well, because that was like a big like what the fuck, like why I was like, why is he here?
Yeah, even Ottocon's like, yeah, it's the DARPA chief, and it's like,
oh yeah, it's a big moment that it wasn't supposed to be glossed over because it's not as a full on conversation with Colonel and Naomi. So
yeah.
So anyways, proceed. Yeah.
Anyways,
proceed,
so you got out of the room eventually.
Yeah, and then I don't remember what happens immediately after that.
I don't think there's anything significant. You just kind of make your way back to the sniper area, pretty much where you got caught, right?
Yeah.
You're just forward tracking instead of back tracking now.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Yeah. And then you go to the tower, and I remember that took me quite a few tries too, because I remember I found the armor.
Oh, the body armor.
Body armor, yeah. And I was like, oh, that'll come in useful, And then I remember, opening up all the doors and everything, and you go through that one door, and immediately the camera catches you. And the second time I went through, I was like, can I even barely sneak through? What happens? Like if I just enter that scene and I had the cardboard box on and everything, and nope, it still notices you. And I was like, okay, so it's scripted. Of course, the guys come down the hallway and they start shooting at you, so you got to shoot them and run through and grab all the stuff. And because you can either go straight up the stairs, or you can go to the left and grab those supplies and then go up the stairs. But if you go to the left, you have 10 guards to contend with on all the way over there and the way back and everything.
Yeah.
And so, but it was worth it to me because there was the rations and ammo and stuff like that. So I went over there, got it.
Where did you find the body armor? Did you go back to the gas room and just explore?
I think I must have, yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember thinking I have card 6 now, so there must be I'm here anyway. I might as well, So I was like, good. There's going to be other rooms I can explore and that I haven't been in yet, so I'll go over there and check it out. And yeah, I think that's where I found it. Now that you mentioned that, yeah.
Okay, so you're pretty much doing the same thing as what we did with Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2. It's explore every door that I couldn't get into last time.
Exactly.
So,
but this time they're clearly labeled, so you know exactly what doors you can.
Yeah, exactly.
So much easier. And then the keys override.
My
there's
God,
no guessing. Yeah,
isn't that the best?
Yeah.
Quality of life.
Yeah, having all the keys being one key. Yeah.
The only downfall is that you still have to have it equipped.
Yeah.
To open the doors.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny you should mention that because that's another thing I had mentioned in my while I was streaming on Discord. And I was like, why can't we use the gas mask and this at the same time? Or why can't I have the body armor and this at the same time? and my chat saying well, you clearly can't use keys and hold body armor at the same time. It doesn't work that way. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I know. And but yeah, eventually I got to that one door, that first door there. And I was like, oh, I didn't have my key card equipped. And the first time I got in there, I died right there.
Are you talking about the tower?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And the first time I'd gotten there, I died right there because I had the guys that were up on the stairs were shooting down at me, and the guys coming up behind me were starting to shoot at me, and I was caught in crossfire, and I just ran out of health and died.
Yeah.
And so I was like, crap. So I got there again, and I killed all the guys, and I remember you try to open the door, and it won't work, and I was like, what the heck? What's going on? But it made a weird sound, and I was like, what is that? And then you talked to someone, I think it might have been Dr. Otacon had called, or you called him or something, and he's like, oh yeah, it's frozen shut. You should know that. It's like, why is it frozen shut? What? What? And so he's like, yeah, you have to go all the way to the top and go across to the other building and go down from there and do all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, you're in Alaska.
Yeah.
Of course the door's frozen.
Yeah, silly me. So I went up and got the rope and everything, and I was like, rope, that's interesting, but okay. I I didn't put 2 and 2 together of why I would need that. And then you get to the top, and Hind D is there and like destroying everything and blows up the...
Hind D's revenge.
Yeah, Mr. Hind D, the paid actor. And so I remember like, oh, it's telling you, oh, you have to rappel down with the rope and do this and that, and it's going through all the controls on how to do it and everything. So I was like, okay.
Wait, so you did pick up the rope without thinking about it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to bring up, because while I was playing it this last time, you can miss the rope, make it all the way up there. And I don't know if you noticed the dialogue that he says to himself. He's like, if only I had a rope. If you don't have the rope, that line makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you have the rope, he says it, and then immediately after that says, maybe I can use that rope I got.
Yeah.
It's like, then why'd you tell yourself if only you had a rope? I feel like they missed like a flag or something there for the dialogue.
Like, if you have the rope, don't say the first part. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so like I went to the side because I was like, how do I do this? Like, I don't even know how to do this. Like, I'm trying to press the square button, see if that does anything. No, that's just punching. And I'm like, what do I do? Do I have to equip it? What do I have to do? And so I'm walking around, and like I had like walked around the whole perimeter basically, and then I noticed that the rope wasn't in my inventory anymore. I was like, what happened to it? Where'd it go? And I went over to the far bottom right, I think it was, where you go down, and like the scene had happened where he like kind of climbs down and everything.
Oh, it's in the top right.
Top right, yeah, that's right. And the scene happens where he goes over the edge, and they're telling you like, oh, this is how you do it, and you have to press this button to jump, and then if you do it just right, you can like get extra distance or something. And if you use the D-pad, you go to the right and to the left and everything. So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna go down. And of course, as I was going down, I hit like every single one of those. What are they? Steam traps or something?
Yes,
every single one.
I hate
the
this
way
part.
Down.
I remember maybe when I was younger, I was really good. Like I had a path, but now as an adult, I'm like, I don't remember the path. Why is this so hard? I'm hitting every event,
and I just want to go down.
Fucking Hindy is shooting my ass. Like now I just power through it. I just tank it. Like, I don't care how much health I have by the time I get down there. I'm just
surprisingly, I think I only got hit by Hindy one time, maybe.
Oh, nice. It was more of the vents, right?
Yeah, all those vents. Every single one on the way down I hit, I swear.
Yeah.
Because I'd be going down like, oh, it stopped. Now's my time to go. And as soon as I land, it's going again. Like, really?
Yeah, they have like no like reasonable amount of time before they start spewing steam again.
Yeah. It's like you have to memorize the pattern, and then you have to go like right before it's going to stop.
Yeah.
Or you have to start to land right before it's going to stop, and then that's all the time you have. You have to go immediately again.
Yeah, you have to jump. Yeah, right away.
So, but yeah, I just hit everyone on the way down. So it's like, I'm just whatever. I have my ration. I'll just use that. It's fine. so I did that, and then went and opened the other door.
How'd you open the other door?
With the C4.
Ah.
Because that's what they tell you to do.
Do they really?
Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Ottocon's like, oh, I don't know how you're supposed to open it. Maybe it was C4 or something, or explosion. And I was like, okay, sure.
Logic.
Yeah. So I did that, and went back and was going up, and then the whole Hind D fight and everything. And
but there's some dudes on that bridge.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Because I died to them several times. Because at first I just went up. Right. Across that bridge, and they started shooting me. And I was like, oh crap, because I was really low in health, obviously, from hitting all those vents on the way down. And so I started running back, and I got shot down and died. And then tried it again for some reason. And I was like, oh, it'll be different this time, right? No, it was the same. Died again. And then I was like, wait, I had the sniper rifle. So I pulled that out, and I got one guy, got him down, and then they like ran off to the side, and so I was like, oh, now's my chance. So I picked up and I started running, but then they came back and they shot me, and I died again. It's a big surprise. And then I got the sniper rifle again, and I was like, okay, so I know they come back this time, so I'll just wait for them to come back. So I did that. I shot one of them. They both ran off, and then one of them came back, and I started shooting him, but the other one came back like shortly after, and he was shooting me, and then I died again.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about those guys.
So then, like the fifth time, I finally got it, and I got them all killed. I went down to the end, and then Hindy shows up. I was like, oh, crap. So instead of going to the left there, to the next area, I went all the way back. Because I was like, there must be something I'm missing. Like, I must have to get some clue or something. And that's when they started talking about did they bring the stingers then? Yeah, they had. I talked to Autocon, I think it was, or it might have been Miller. I don't know who it was. And they're like, oh, you need stinger soldiers. They're in the room next to the entrance. And I thought they meant the entrance I had just opened up. Oh, okay. And I was like, I don't remember there being a room there, but I'll look. And so I went back in there. I went all the way to the top, looked all around up there, went all the way back down to the bottom, looked all around down there. It was like, what room is he talking about? And then finally I went back up and I went out again and I noticed that the helicopter wasn't there anymore. So I was like, okay, where'd Hindy go, you know? And so I ran down the end again and he pops up again. I was like, oh, I must have to run to the left here and get it there. And sure enough, I ran in and you go in that door and it's just right there. And I was like, that would have been so much easier to do before.
Did these codec calls come to you or were you calling people?
A lot of them I am learning to call out a lot more, but there have been a couple where they've called into me. If I don't call a few times, if I die a few times, I notice they'll call me.
And they're optional, right? They're like you have to press select.
Yeah.
Okay. It's crazy how much the game tries to help you because I definitely don't remember that conversation where they're like, "Oh yeah, it's in that room, the Stinger missiles and stuff." Like that's
Yeah.
I'm glad you're getting these calls and that you're calling because there's a lot of dialogue that, you know, for more than 20 years I've never heard these conversations and it's crazy how much they recorded.
Yeah.
In these codec calls. When you grabbed the Stinger missile, did you go back out and try to shoot him with it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
If you do that, he hides. He like just laughs and goes away.
Oh, okay.
Forget about that. I didn't do that this time.
Yeah, because Liquid's like, he's like, oh, he's got a stinger. Bye.
Yeah. But yeah, I went up there to the top of the tower and climbed up the ladder and everything and went out there. And then, yeah, the whole cutscene happens of, oh, you're my brother and you killed our dad and we're the last surviving whatevers and, you know, blah, blah, blah and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't say blah, blah, blah. It's an important cutscene. I know it's like, I don't mean like this doesn't matter. It's just like, I don't remember everything they said. So.
Oh, don't worry. I'll bring it up in the story section.
Yeah. But anyway, so I did that and I was fairly low on health, but there was one of those interactions out there. So I went and picked that up. And at first I was like, okay, how am I supposed to hit him? Because every time I go into the weapon, it just puts me in first mode. I can't move around, obviously. So I got to wait for him to like be near me. But every time he's near me, he's shooting. And so it was one of the things I had to learn, like, okay, he shoots for a little while and then he'll fly away. And as his back is turned to you, that's when you shoot him. Another thing I had noticed is that there's like 3 different areas to hit him. And so I was like, does it do more damage if you hit the cockpit area as opposed to the middle or the tail? And I didn't notice any significant difference.
I never thought.
But I don't know if.
Yeah, neither did I.
Does it?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Now I want to investigate that because
yeah,
I mean, whichever one it locks onto, that's what I shoot because it's just like it's the quickest way. But yeah, now I'm curious. I didn't even think about that at all.
Yeah, so I was curious about that because like a lot of games, like if you get a headshot, it does more damage than if you hit a body shot or a leg shot or whatever. So I was like, is that why there's 3 different areas to choose from, or is it just because it's you have that much more chance of hitting or something? Like I wasn't sure, and I can't tell you the number of times that I would lock on and he would fly behind the building and my freaking Stinger soldier would just hit the building right in front of me. It's like, really?
And damage
Gosh,
you.
dang it.
Right, you would take that splash damage from the...
Yeah.
I did that today. I was like, I'm a dumbass.
But eventually I started to learn his pattern, and then phase 2 happens, where he like hides below the line of the building, like your view line. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I like the way they did that, because you can still see it in third-person view, but then when you go to the Stinger soldier, he's nowhere in sight, like because he's below your visibility. At that point, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And he kind of like sneaks around and like he'll pop up randomly and start shooting at you. And so I just learned to like read him on the map or watch him on the map and see where he's going. And then after like 2 or 3 seconds, he'll pop up, do his shooting thing, and then he flies over, and that's when you go to hit him.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, it'd taken me a few tries to do that, but I eventually beat him. It wasn't too bad. And then he just crashes down and supposedly dies. We'll see. But yeah, so that's where I left off, and then right after that, I walked back into the room with the ladder, and I just saved there and stopped. So,
All right. Well, Kriss remembered to save, so
Yeah, I did save, yes.
he's not going to have a repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, experience again. Good. Cool. So I have to rewind now. Right after Cyborg Ninja, we're going to talk story. So we now know Cyborg Ninja's Gray Fox, and then you have to go... Okay, so you have to go searching for Meryyyyyll, and did you find her easily, by the way? How'd you get her attention?
Once I knew how to find her, yeah. So I and it's funny because I thought about it too afterwards. And I remember when I was like all confused and walking around down there and everything, I remember I heard when one of the people would walk, I heard like a squeaking sound. And I was like, that's odd. But I didn't think anything of it other than thinking it's odd. And I should have. And it was one of those things where like the game's clearly giving me a clue and I just completely ignored it. But yeah, when she walks, if you're in that like office building, the office room where it has the 3 doors on each side.
Yeah.
If you're in there while she's walking around, it'll make a squeaking sound as she's walking.
I don't think I've ever noticed that.
Yeah.
Seriously, really?
Yeah.
What kind of squeaking sound?
Like
don't look at me! Squeak, 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 squeak. Like from Kung Pao squeak, or what kind of squeak?
I don't know how to describe it. Like
German, do you know that reference?
Yeah, I know the reference, yeah.
Okay. I was like...
No, not that bad, no.
Like she's walking on squeaky floorboards, I guess. Kind of like that.
You know, I always kind of felt it was more like a fabric because she's walking with her thighs closer together. So
like her suit is rubbing up?
Like...
Oh,
that could be it too, yeah.
That's what I think it was trying to simulate.
That sound you just made, German, yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like, yeah.
Her thigh's too thick, bro. She's thick. Meryyyyyll is thick.
She dummy thick, yeah.
Maybe she is bae. Nope, you're not going to convince me. I just remembered Mei Ling is also dummy thick in the legs. But you don't get to see that until...
Yeah, I was going to say spoilers.
Disc 3. What is Disc 3? I don't know.
So anyways, yeah, so you found her that way. I remember...
Yeah, so, well, I inadvertently... Like, I didn't make that connection until afterwards. And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember squeaking before. That's probably where she was. But what I did was I killed off the one guard in the men's room. And then I went over to the other side and waited behind that pillar there. Because I remember, too, one of the guards went off to the right, which usually they just go off to the left. They go to the bathroom, then come back. Mm-hmm. But one of the times I was hiding in that little office area, I noticed one of them went out of the room and then went right. And I was like, that's odd. And again, I should have made a connection and I didn't. Nothing popped into my head like, pay attention to this or anything, until after Noise had mentioned that to me. And I was like, oh, now it makes sense. You know? So I went over, hid behind there, and she went in there, and I went in behind her. And it was a whole thing where like her clothes were laid out and she sneaks up behind you. Oh, I caught you unaware. Like you caught you with your pants down or whatever it was she said. And
the second time I'm able to sneak up on the legendary Solid Snake.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, touching on that, you said you got there pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
So she was in her undies?
No.
Nope, Kriss didn't get it.
You didn't, so that wasn't quick enough then, I guess.
Yeah, so if you follow behind her, like as soon as she opens the door and you make it to the end of the room, she is not wearing pants.
Okay.
That's the second time you can see her, I guess, undressed or whatever.
Which makes the whole, when he says, she says, oh, so there's something you like about me. And he's like, yeah, you got a great butt. When that scene happens, the camera changes to behind her butt. And it's funnier because she's not wearing pants and she like grabs her butt and you can clearly see her crack and everything. And it's like, Jesus.
Now, I was going to say, I always hate that part because I know it's a game. I know logic is kind of thrown out the window with a lot of things, especially in this kind of game where there's supernatural elements and blah, blah, blah. But it's literally like there's nowhere for her to fucking go. And where did she go? She goes into the goddamn stall. How the fuck did she get behind you? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, if there was like a freaking window and behind there, or, you know, I don't know, like.
There's 2 other stalls next to it, so maybe she hid behind one of those stalls. That's the only logic I can think of.
But again, first person view reveals nothing, and you can go into first person view and peek and just see the uniform laid out, and it's the second you trigger that little cutscene that she's behind you. I just, again, it's complaining for no real reason. I just always hate that. I'm like, how did she get behind you? Like, how? Like, maybe like if it would have been like door was locked or something weird and you can't get in, but then when you do get in, you go all the way to the stall and she was hiding behind the door, or she was in the trash can. Hey, why didn't you use the bucket from fucking MGS2?
Yeah.
Like, she could have been under a damn mop bucket. That would have been kind of cool. But I always had a problem with that. Just that it makes no sense how she got behind you. I'm like, all right, whatever, Meryl. Sure, you snuck up on me.
Especially if you run right behind her.
Especially in that case. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If it was like the door was locked, like she did in the cell, like let's say the door was locked and you're like, oh, I can't open it or some bullshit, and all of a sudden you hear the click click, so then you walk in and then you're like, huh, who unlocked it? But you're being dumb, so you go all the way to the stalls. It's like, hey, I was behind the door the whole time or something. It's not a swinging door. Never mind, it's a sliding door, but still.
Oh yeah. It is a sliding door.
Yeah.
But anyways, I've always hated the fact that she sneaks behind you. It pisses me off. While we're talking about her, or should we go to Easter eggs, or are we still just kind of doing storyline?
No, if you have something to say about her.
I did it. I didn't know about it like the first, maybe 2-3 times. It wasn't until like, my 5th, 6th visit to this game, Kriss. If you stare at her before the Mantis fight.
Oh yeah.
She blushes, and she keeps blushing more and more until she turns pretty damn bright red. So that's always something funny to do.
Yeah, she first she's like, what? What is it? What are you staring at? Come on, Snake. We have to get a move on. Like, it's just, there's like 4 or 5 different lines that she says.
Oh, okay.
And she just gets, redder and redder and redder. Obviously, you can punch her. Did you probably punch her?
So, I didn't... I was so urged to punch her while I was playing today, but I was like, nah, not right now. But yeah, you can punch her and then she'll like stun lock you. Like, you can't get away from her if you're at a certain distance, and she'll just slap the ever loving shit out of you and take fucking health away. Like, you will take damage in a significant amount, right?
Yeah, I believe so. A good amount. It's like I said, it's always fun for me to slap her and then run and just try
see how far you can get.
Just see. Yeah, you put the ball. There's nothing you can do. She'll catch you and she'll slap you. Actually, the only thing you can do is trigger the next cutscene. So that's what you do. That's
you have to leave the room. One of the things I'd love to do, because you could also throw her. Mm-hmm. I would throw her and then run into the office room and just run circles. Like,
around the desk?
Well, she's just fucking like chasing me. I think she's faster than you, because eventually she catches me.
She catches up.
But yeah, it's we do not condone slapping women at all. But if you want to do it in this video game, it's hilarious, and she does get her revenge. So it's So in the bathroom stalls, she talks about how she wanted to be a soldier. She wanted to follow in her father's footsteps and stuff. But she kind of realizes on her own that she's just not really cut out to be a soldier.
Yeah, but she did it for the wrong reasons. Just kind of.
Yeah, she did it for the wrong reasons. And Snake's like, get your shit together, because this is life or death.
Yeah,
you will fucking die if you fuck up. And and then they get out of the bathroom stall and suddenly the guards are missing, and Snake points out that the music stopped, which means there was music playing that everybody heard. It wasn't just for the player.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me bring something up that isn't spoiler necessarily, but so this game introduced, Meryl says it, correct me if I'm wrong and stop me if I'm wrong, but she introduced that she's done VR missions, right?
No.
She doesn't say that? I thought I sworn she said she did VR
Not
missions.
VR missions.
Okay, then I'll bring it up later, next time.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Did you want to add anything else?
No.
Okay. Oh, but she does mention that because Snake is already hitting on her in the bathroom, she does bring up that it's a waste of time because she's had psychotherapy to destroy her interest in men.
I don't remember that. She says that.
Yeah, she says that. So I don't know. Maybe that's what you were thinking with the VR mission, because she does mention that. I
could have sworn she said she's had VR missions. She said it's not like the real thing, but I could be quoting other conversations possibly.
I think something. We're gonna have to revisit that, but I think you might be. I don't think she mentioned specifically VR mission, but she does say. Oh, she says that just regular targets, like practice targets.
Possibly, okay.
Yeah, because then she says that when she thought about her bullets tearing through those guys' bodies, that's what made her hesitate at that gunfight earlier.
That's right, yeah, because I think Snake says something about like there's a difference between stationary targets and living people or something. Yeah.
So we'll revisit. We'll touch back on the next episode if need be. If not, we'll have to save it for future episodes.
Yeah, we'll try to look it up and see if she does mention something about VR missions.
Yeah.
But yeah, the music. If you were paying attention to that long ass Otacon cutscene, Otacon also mentions that he heard music through the radio while Snake was talking to Meryyyyyll. He's like, was that some type of music? So even Otacon heard it through the codec, which for some reason he can hear it when Colonel Campbell has mentioned that only you can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the music's gone. You get some time to stock up on some ammo. You beat up on Meryyyyyll a little bit, and then you run to the next room. And then she kind of becomes like possessed or something.
Yeah.
And for some reason also, the polygons around her butt are non-existent anymore. Now they're weird shaped. I don't know if you noticed that.
I didn't notice that.
I didn't know.
Yeah, for some reason, like her model changes, obviously, because she's not in the soldier uniform.
Mm-hmm.
But look at it next time. It looks like her butt bends at like her lower thigh.
Oh, weird.
I don't know what they did with the polygons in that scene, but I was like, why didn't you fix this? Like you're kind of zoomed in on this spot, and for some reason you didn't fix that. Anyways, so she's kind of possessed. Her voice is being weird, which I heard Kriss mention when he was streaming it on his Discord.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that right away.
Yeah, he was like, what's up with her voice? And I'm over here giggling like, hee 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 hee.
Did you know that if you go into first person there, Kriss, you see through technically Mantis's mask?
I did not.
Isn't it through Meryl's eyes first?
At first, it's through Meryl's eyes. Yes, the first.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then
right.
once you get into the room and you do first person, then you're looking through Mantis's eyes.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that's always fun to do. I was playing with it a lot, and I was just kind of trying to remember if there's anything you can do or any weird stuff. I was tossing Meryyyyyll and going into first person, seeing if I could see like the actual flip, but no, you can't.
Just more excuses to abuse Meryyyyyll. I guess that's why she's bae to you guys. You fucking wife beaters. What's wrong with you? But then you get the call from Campbell, like, something's wrong with her. Don't beat her up like you have been for the past 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I know, right? Well, actually, you do get permission to beat her up. No. He says don't kill her.
Don't kill her. Yeah, so...
But you're like, you could disable her or something like that.
Yeah, technically you can punch the shit out of her and it'll knock her out, but the more humane thing to do is to throw her around until she gets knocked out. She doesn't take any damage from that. But if you punch her, she does take damage.
Oh, I don't notice that. But she does have a life bar, so yeah, if you, I guess, punch her too much, she will die?
Probably. I don't know. We got to try that.
I don't think so, because that's all I did was punch her, and she just gets knocked out eventually, so...
Well, but maybe if you didn't really know or you weren't listening to Colonel, you tried shooting her a couple times, it would probably take more life.
I don't think I've ever tried shooting her, now that I think about it.
I probably did the first time, but, all recent playthroughs I haven't.
But yeah, if you allow her, she can get a shot off on you, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, she definitely got a couple shots on me, yeah.
Nice. And then, so like, Mantis is, like, puppeting her and teasing you, you like, saying, like, hurry, Snake, make love to me, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, what's wrong? You don't like girls? Which is hilarious. And so Mantis reveals himself, and he's also using stealth camo, the same as the ninja, the same as what
I
Otacon.
actually noticed him when he was flying, like, behind her, because I noticed, like, the little just something was off, and I was like, what is that? And every time she would move, like, he would move to stay, like, directly, so she was directly between us.
Yeah, he would be right behind her.
And I was like, oh, that must be, what's his name, Psycho Mantis, so.
Yeah, and Psycho Mantis does something dope. He reads your memory card. If, obviously we can't really with the emulation, but if on your original PlayStation you have any other Konami-related games that released before Metal Gear Solid, Mantis will name them. He'll be like, oh, I see you like Castlevania.
Huh.
I can't even think of any other
There's, I believe, 2 PlayStation 1 Contra games, but I don't know if they were released before Metal Gear or after.
Yeah.
But there is a couple games that he can mention. I don't think it's exclusive to Konami games. I think there's possibly 1 or 2 games that are...
Really?
I'll look it up right now. Give me a second here. But keep going, yeah.
Yeah, look that up. Yeah, so he reads your memory card, he'll name games, and he'll also point out how much you've saved. So
yeah,
if you haven't saved, he'll be like, you have not saved often, you know, and but if you do save a lot, which I did this time, he was like, yeah, he just said like, oh, you like to save a lot. He'll also, if you were like constantly walking over trap doors, he'll also mention that too, that you're pretty reckless and that you know, that you're not wary of your surroundings and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. If you fall for traps.
Okay, because he mentioned to me, like, you haven't saved much. And then he says, you're pretty reckless. And I thought that was because of the lack of saves. But now that you mentioned that, I did set off a lot of traps and stuff. So that's probably why.
Yeah. And then he does his greatest trick, which as a kid I was like, I know this is dumb, but it blew my mind. That it's like, put your controller down on the ground as flat as you can, and I will move it with my mind. And obviously he's just turning on the rumble, but I was like, this is amazing. Like,
well, hold on. So I looked it up. It says that he names Azure Dreams, Suikoden, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and Valiant Hearts, plus Police Knots, Snatchers in the Japanese version. So I guess it is all Konami games.
Oh, okay.
I sworn he named something else.
Suikoden, okay. I didn't know Symphony of the Night came out before this, but cool.
I guess, or maybe it was same time development, so they just kind of had some,
maybe,
yeah. That part there, I remember the first time I ever made it to Psycho Mantis was middle of the night, probably 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, like midnight. And the music's eerie, we gotta admit. It's a pretty cool music soundtrack.
Oh yeah, the music is happening again.
And just like you said, I'm like, I know this is fake. I know it's a video game, but I'm like, all right, I'll bite. And, and sure enough, it rumbles. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's moving. I'm like, but it's still pretty fucking creepy when the first time you do it,
It's like when you play Ouija.
Oh, I've never played it, so.
No, you've never played Ouija?
No.
Like the Ouija board?
No, never.
Chris, have you?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, everyone knows we're moving it, right?
Yeah.
Someone else is moving the board. So it's kind of like that feeling where you're like, okay, yes, everyone is kind of participating to like move the thing slightly and whatever. And it's kind of like that experience where you're like, wait, are you moving it? No, I'm not moving it. You're moving it. No, now you're moving it. Everyone's pointing fingers, but that's kind of how that felt like to me. I was like, I'm kind of creeped out, but I know it's just a game. Chris, did you participate, or were you just like, nah, I'm just going to play this game?
I think I like kind of let the controller go. I didn't set it on the ground. I just kind of like set it in my lap. And I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, obviously, like you guys say, like I know what's happening. Like it's not that he's actually controlling the game. But there's definitely a part of me that wish I had that like childlike wonder and like, oh my gosh, how's that happening? And like not knowing about all that kind of stuff and everything. So that would I definitely would have loved to have that experience. But it was cool to see it as an adult as well as my first time. So
which means if you didn't have the DualShock, it would skip that.
Yeah. No, I think he says. Doesn't he point out that you don't have a DualShock?
I don't know. I've never played with that one.
Specifically says like, oh, you don't have a DualShock.
Like the name of the controller?
I believe so. I mean, they name drop shit like crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, Ocelot talks about the turbo controller, so.
Yeah. And here's how to repel. Press X.
Yeah.
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 Press X to Jason. Okay, so then after that, you're fighting Mantis, and then you defeat him. I can't talk about this. Damn it. I love that there's backstory to this boss encounter, right? You defeat him, and it gives you his story about like why he's there.
Yeah.
He doesn't really agree with Liquid and all this stuff. He just wants to kill a bunch of people, and he discovered that he had these psychic abilities, and the first person he ever whose mind he dove into was his father's, and that he saw that his dad pretty much just wanted to kill him because Psycho Mantis killed his mom at birth.
Yeah, he held him as it was a grudge.
Yeah, he held him. Yeah, he resented him for all that. So
yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, so he killed his dad and burned his village and became Psycho Mantis pretty much. And were you disgusted by his face as much as Meryyyyyll was? or were you just like?
I wasn't. No, like
No.
I thought. I mean, obviously with graphics the way they were, like it would have been very different back then. Like, oh my gosh, that's hideous. Versus now so much. There's so much more detail and everything. It wasn't as bad. But I think back then I would have been disgusted. Like, oh, that's gross or that's weird or yeah.
I wasn't, but the thing that I think caught me off guard, that I think maybe that's what Meryl was concentrating on, is the stitches around his skull.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think maybe that's what, because that would be hella weird to see on somebody. Like, whoa, why do you have stitches completely all the way around your skull? Like, does that mean someone opened up his dome?
No shit, or he might have opened up his own head if you think about it.
Yeah.
With some telekinesis power. But what I think that's funny about that part, it always makes me laugh, and it made me laugh on this playthrough again, was he literally just got done telling you, his story. How he's like, my father hated me and blah, 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 She's like, disgusting, let's kill it. It's like, dude, he literally just built his freaking heart out, And she's just like,
just like, I'm going to kick his fucking head in right now.
I always thought, like, I get it, maybe because he was using her, so maybe that felt creepy, or maybe she's holding a grudge for being possessed or whatnot. But I still think it's funny is that she came up and the first things out of her words are like, gross. I'm like, all right, Meryl, awesome, cool.
Gross.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure. I mean, that's like the biggest invasion of anyone's person is their own brain. So I would definitely have.
Because doesn't she say she can still, that it felt weird? She says it felt weird, right?
Yeah, she says that she can kind of still. So that's right after the wolves part, but she like talks about how she can kind of still feel him or something inside.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in a second. All right, so Mantis helps you. He moves the bookshelf and he's like, oh, I've never used my powers to do good. And then he asks for his mask back because Snake took it off of him earlier. I guess that mask helps him just kind of isolate himself so that everyone's thoughts don't just berate him all day.
Like a Magneto kind of thing. But
yeah.
I always thought about this. They never say his mask is special in any way, shape, or form. Do you think it's just like what's that word I'm looking for? Psychosemantic kind of thing?
Yes. I was thinking that today. It's probably just helps him focus on just his own thoughts. Because it doesn't cover his skull. It covers his face. It's a gas mask.
Yeah.
Maybe the fact that it like the thing I was thinking about is that maybe because when you breathe through those, it's kind of hard to breathe through them. You have to like really take deep breaths, and maybe that's helping him meditate because he has to put
focus
effort
on his breath instead of
he has to focus on breathing, so he's not like all these thoughts. So
yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up.
That's kind of what I thought too, because I remember like put it back on me because it helps me. Yeah, whatever he said, and I was like, oh, okay, like it's like a focus or something. I kind of bring it to D&D. I don't think you will understand that reference, but like a druidic focus or like a something like that, like a arcane focus, which it's an item if you're a magic user. It normally, if you're casting magic, if you need like supplies or what's the word for it, ingredients, if you will, to cast that magic, you use this item instead of having to have those ingredients. So like if you need like for example, one of them is like speak with animal. You need like a tuft of fur and then like a bit of food or something. So instead of carrying all those things around with you, if you have this one item, it helps you focus on that magic, and that's what just lets you cast it. So I was kind of thinking in that terms, like, oh, it's not necessarily a magic item that helps him or anything. It's just having this item helps him to kind of focus on his inner thoughts as opposed to everything going on around him.
Okay,
if that makes any sense. So
yeah. Before we move on, I just want to touch. There's 2 ways to kill Psycho Mantis, Kriss.
Oh, good. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. So the first one is the remote. Controller. The controller option. If you still keep ignoring the Campbell, the colonel, I think he calls you and he tells you, I think it's a force call, by the way. He'll be like, is there some reason why you can't switch to controller dock 2? And then he'll be like, controller port 2. And he's like, I got it. He goes, you see those vases on the corners or whatever, or bosses? I don't know what he called or what he says.
Yeah, they're
exactly.
like busts. That
I don't know what he calls them exactly, but
the statues.
But he says, he goes, I got it. He goes, shoot those. He goes, those look like Mantis's face without the mask on or some bullshit like that. And you destroy those, and then that he can't reach your inputs no more. And that was done on purpose in case someone's did have a broken controller 2 port, because otherwise you'd be stuck there and you wouldn't be able to
you would soft lock.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
That doesn't work until the codec call comes through.
Yeah. You have to ignore that call and die a few times, I believe.
Yeah, because because you can put, I think you have to put C4 in them, because I've never tried shooting them.
I've never done that, honestly. I know of it, but I've never done it because I always just switch to controller port 2. So maybe I should try it again while we're still on this game.
Yeah, but I usually use C4, or I did whenever I had to do that. You just plant C4 on them and they explode and the heads pop off, but they're still there because they are part of Psycho Mantis's attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't completely get destroyed. So it's just the heads that pop off, and then you can totally do it. But there's two ways to do that. Speaking of which, do you remember that you can use thermals to see when he's hidden with the optic camouflage?
I did not remember that. No.
Yeah.
Oh, dang! I wish I had.
Yep, because he fucking disappears and shit. Or if you don't have that, you can do what German said and look in first person, and then you'll know where he is in the room because he's looking at you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the most unique boss, in my opinion, of the whole Metal Gear series. I know there's other ones that are like pretty crazy. There's so many ways to defeat him. It's just a unique encounter. Like nothing has topped it for me. But that's for me personally. There are other boss encounters that are like, holy shit, that was nuts. So he helps you out. Meryyyyyll starts probing you, like, she starts asking about like family and stuff, and he's like, and Snake's just like kind of like brushing it off and, stop talking to me, woman. Like, this is the battlefield. And she even asks his name, and he's like, names mean nothing on a battlefield. Which I wanted to ask you, Kriss. What do you think Snake's real name is? First name.
I kind of think it's something odd like Wilbur or Franklin is my guess.
I love that. Wilbur. All right, so Meryyyyyll and Wilbur move on to the caves. And he admits there that he's a dog musher, because Meryyl's like, how do you know so much about these wolves? How do you know they're wolf dogs or whatever? You get through the cave, and speaking about abusing Meryyyll some more, you can throw her here or punch her here again after you get past the cave when the dogs are loving up on her, and she will sick those dogs on you. Like they will fucking bite you.
Now, correct me, I couldn't remember, and I don't know if it's this game or the remake. Isn't there a way to get the wolf dogs to pee on you in the cardboard
It's also
box?
in this game.
Is in this one?
So something else, I don't know what possessed me to check this out, but it was just within the last month that we started playing. So what you have to do is you have to hit her or throw her, and then immediately equip the box. And then she sends one of the dogs to go and pee on you on the box, and that gives the box a very special ability. Do you know what it is, German?
Yeah, I know what the ability is. I just couldn't remember if it was this game. Kriss, what do you think a peed box will give you?
I'm going to guess that the guards aren't going to go up to because they're going to smell it and stay away.
Oh, shit.
The guards?
That's a nice thought. Like, it's going to stink like piss, so they wouldn't come up to it.
Well, like when you're when you're hiding, and like one of the things that I had trouble with that one time we talked about noise, where like if I was in their way, if you're in their path, they come up and they kick the box.
Yeah.
So like I'm thinking like, they walk over. Oh, what's that? Oh, it's just a box. Oh, it stinks, and they just walk away or stay away from it or something.
Is that a thing, German?
No.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That would be very interesting. That was a cool.
Yeah, when you said "oh shit," I was like, "Oh my god, is that a thing that I didn't know about?"
Not that I know of, at least, anyways. But no, that's not what it does, Kriss. But that is pretty good thought process.
That would have been a good one.
Yeah, that would have been solid.
Yeah,
it makes you friendly to the dogs.
Oh, okay.
Basically, because now you're their property.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I literally just discovered that within the last month. I was like, I wonder. I don't know what possessed me to think that, but I was like, I'll try it. And it totally worked. And I was like, whoa. And then you get to the next room, and you have an unskippable cutscene where Meryyyll tight ropes between some claymore mines and is like,
which is stupid.
Yeah. Aren't you impressed? It's like, well, you just told me that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you just told me that Psycho Mantis showed you where the mines are. So no, I'm not impressed because you fucking know where they are.
Yeah.
And also, I got a mine detector. Oh, no, you can't use mine detector.
You can't use mine detector. But yeah, German, you tell them why you're not impressed.
You can just, you could just fucking crawl and collect them all if you needed to.
Well, you could do that, or what else?
Or just walk straight forward.
Yeah, just walk straight. They're
So
perfectly positioned where you'll just miss them all.
Oh, okay. Because I actually followed her footsteps, and I was wondering, because like there was a couple times where it was like slightly off, and I was like, why isn't it going off? I thought for sure like if I wasn't pixel perfect, it would have done it, but
Yeah. No. Also, if you have thermals, you can see where they are. So
yeah, exactly. I think there's only like 3 or 4 miles.
I think 4. Yeah.
Like the very first time I ever made it there ever, I thought that whole section was going to be covered in them, and I'm like, oh, like you said, follow her path exactly. No, nothing like that.
I can't remember how many like years, I did it that way until I was like, wait, I can just pick them up, right? And then just started questioning it more and more, and I was like, wait. And then I saw them with the thermals, and I was like, dude, they're not even, you can just go straight.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, and then Meryyyyyll gets sniped, and so that sniper wolf is using her as bait.
Which, by the way, I kind of forgot how that part's kind of gruesome, if you will.
Oh, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
I remember her getting shot once, maybe in the leg. Honestly, I was like, oh, she gets shot twice, arm and leg. One, no, she gets shot like 6-7 times. Like, damn.
No,
dude.
it's only 3.
It's only 3?
Yeah. It just feels like a lot more because so there's the first 2 shots, and then there's the one where she reaches for the gun, and that's where she gets shot a 3rd time.
Okay. Well, it still felt like a lot.
It's horrifying. It's like and this is before like Saving Private Ryan, where that sniper scene is happening, and we give the only Academy Award to Vin Diesel for acting like being the best limper in the world, I guess. That was a brutal fucking scene. That's the only scene I really like him in, honestly.
Yeah.
I hate Vin Diesel. Anyway, so Meryyyyyll has a revelation that war is actually not glorious and it's awful. And it's like, yeah, no shit. Everyone's panicking on the codec, like, oh my God, save her. You're going to need a sniper rifle also. And Otacon, if you call Otacon, he tells you, it's fucking in the armory. I cannot help you. I'm useless.
Yeah.
So you go all the way back, you grab the PSG-1, and then you make it back to the canyon, and Meryyl's gone. She's missing. And all that's left is her blood stain, and you defeat Sniper Wolf. If you're smart, you save.
Yeah.
No, there's no way you would know that shit would happen afterwards.
No.
Anyways, you get caught. Sniper Wolf scratches you. She leaves her mark on you.
Yeah.
Which
he's a little frisky.
Very kinky. Yes, that's where a lot of people were like, "Get out of here, Meryyyyyll and Mei Ling and Naomi."
Yeah,
I think I found a new bae.
Yeah, I don't think I liked her enough, but I don't think she was all that. I think her accent was a little too...
Right, the accent was a little too much.
Too much. I don't remember it being that strong, but yeah, it was definitely strong. So same with Natasha, but I could be also confusing them or mixing them with Twin Snakes. So
all the accents are super thick in this game for sure. Mei Ling's is insanely Chinese.
I was gonna mention it earlier. I was like, dude, she's super freaking Chinese.
She is, yeah.
Naomi's Liquid's, Liquid and Naomi's British accents are out of this world. So yeah, you get captured, and you hear conversation between Liquid and Ocelot about the big boss's blood, I think, or his body, and how they kind of need to correct the genome soldiers. Something's going on with the genome soldiers, which if you don't know what the hell that is, this is the first time they mention it.
Is it? No.
Isn't it?
I don't know. I want to say they mentioned it earlier if you do a bunch of codec calls, but I could be wrong.
Maybe. I know the term genome soldiers from the manual because that's what they're drawn in the manual, and it's like, this is a genome soldier. And as a kid, I'm like, I don't know what the hell that means.
I thought that the ninja guy had mentioned something about that, didn't he?
No, Naomi does.
Okay.
She said...
Yeah, that's right, yes.
The experiments done on Gray Fox were how the genome soldiers were born. So you're right.
Yeah.
That's where they're mentioned. So yeah, there's some kind of flaw in the genome soldiers that needs to be corrected by Big Boss's remains, DNA, blah, blah, blah. And then this is the first time Liquid calls you little brother or big brother, which kind of explains why Meryyyyyll mistook you for Liquid.
Yeah.
Even though you both have completely different hairstyles.
Yeah.
Well, if you didn't watch that, the debriefings, or whatever they're called.
I'm guessing you didn't get to watch those still, Kriss.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Watch them this time.
Okay.
There's nothing terribly important, but they're really fun and give you some more backstory into things.
What sucks, I never saw them my first playthrough.
Me neither.
Because, well, I didn't know they were there because, like I said, my cousin brought this game over. He was like, "Dude, check this game out." He launched it, so I didn't get to play with the title screen or nothing like that. And like I said, I didn't get to replay it until like maybe 3-4 weeks later when he came back again. And then at that point, that's all I could think about, that I didn't play with the menu, so I didn't even know they were there until like many years later.
Yeah.
Anyways, back into the torture room.
Okay, so there's mention of
of
brothers, of siblings. Oh, and Liquid mentions, like, I don't know why he does this, but he like straight up says, "I want no more accidents like the DARPA chief." Like, he says that to Ocelot.
Yeah.
So that kind of reinforces, is there two of them? Is there two DARPA chiefs? What's happening, right?
Yeah.
So you get tortured, you make it through the torture, you have some more conversations with Campbell and Naomi, about like, Meryyyyyll, I'm sorry, and I'm supposed to be able to protect her, and she was still green, and Naomi's like probing about, like, pretty much going like, do you love her? Do you love her? And it's like, she's a combat buddy, man. Relax. It's all good,
Yeah.
I don't have any feelings. I'm a soldier. And then you escape, and with Kriss's playthrough, he did not cause a time paradox. So this soldier, his name is Johnny, and you let him live, Kriss. Now you will have to live with the consequences of letting him live.
Nice.
And you make your way out, all the way back through the canyon again, up those towers, which I want to mention, that door that you couldn't open. I don't know how recent it was, but a first-time player streamed her gameplay, and she got to that spot, and she was trying to get through that door, and somehow she perfectly stood in front of it, took damage, and glitched through the door.
Yep.
Which skips the entire tower going up. And what else does it skip? It skips going all the way up. Yeah, and climbing back down. So it skips the entire Hindy rappel scene and puts you right in front of that hallway, or not hallway, the bridge where the soldiers would be. And also those soldiers are missing. I
was going to say it's a fairly recent discovery, wasn't it?
Yeah, within the last couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how they know how to do it perfectly now, too.
Yeah, it's called the Boba skip.
That's what it's called. I knew it was that.
So shout out to Boba something. I don't know what her entire... I'll link the video down below, because it's amazing. Because speedrunners have just been like, how can we just get past this? Like, it's just, what an annoying, like, you have to run up all the way up the tower, then you have to rappel down, and you save like 5 minutes or something crazy.
Yeah, it's got to be quite a bit. Yeah,
it's a lot.
Hold on, we didn't talk about the escape room. There's also, what is it, 3 ways to get out of the escape room?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So there's 3 ways to get out that I know off the top of my head right now, Kriss. So the first one is the under the beds one, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second one is the ketchup bottle. You mentioned that one. If when the Johnny, that we now know his name is Johnny, is in the bathroom, you can lay down on the ground, and you can actually equip the ketchup bottle and push circle, I believe it is, or with, I don't know if the menu has to be open or closed. I can't remember.
Closed.
And you push circle, you'll actually like open up the ketchup bottle, spill it, and it looks like blood.
Okay.
So when Johnny comes back, he'll be like, "What the hell?" Something like that.
Someone killed him.
Yeah, so he opens the door for you. So then you get up and beat him up and get out. Likewise, though, if you open it when he's clearly looking at you, he freaking laughs because he goes, "What the hell are you doing?" He just laughs at you for fucking spilling ketchup on yourself. So I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And then the third way that I know to get out is you will go through a third torture with the Ocelot, which is the same. Nothing's different about it as far as I know.
It's just your fucking arm is tired.
Yeah. Oh, you're fucking tired. I made it that far. I personally thought it was more than 3. Again, memories from being a kid, but I thought it took like 6 or so tortures, but it's just 3. If you don't get out by the third one, the Cyborg Ninja opens the door for you.
Oh, yeah.
He opens the door. Yeah, he disables it, and I think, like, doesn't Snake say, like, "Oh, Otacon, you're back," or something like that? And then he's like,
yeah, he thinks it's Otacon, yeah.
And he reveals that it's the ninja, and then he just bounces, and that's it. And then that's it.
You're free, yeah.
You're free.
You're like, yeah.
Well, you still got to knock out Johnny, but yeah, you're free.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he comes out of the bathroom, like, right away. Right after that, you're like, oh, fuck, like, I got to go now.
So that was another one that was kind of built in. If you didn't think about the bed or the ketchup, the game will eventually just be like, all right, dude, get the fuck out. Keep going.
Yeah. You've been here too long. Speaking of tired arm, did you put the controller up to your arm when Naomi's like?
No, it's Mei-Ling.
No, it's Naomi.
It's Naomi? Huh.
Because she controlled the nanomachines in your arm.
You
didn't do that, Kriss?
No.
Yeah. So after the after the first torture.
First, I believe. Yeah.
Am I wrong here? Yeah, after the first one, and you have that second codec call with Campbell and Naomi reveals. Oh wow, we totally glossed over this.
Well,
this is where Snake reveals who his father was, because they start talking about family and that Naomi didn't know her family, and that's why she got into genetics.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
she was like, Snake reveals
talking about me is boring, or someone said that, and I'd rather hear about you. Yeah.
Yeah. So who is Snake's father, Kriss?
I don't remember.
Oh my God! Again.
Yeah.
Again. How did Kriss? This is an even bigger twist than the Gray Fox thing. Big Boss is Solid Snake's father.
That's right. Okay, because I couldn't remember if it was like his what do you call it? Like theoretical, like hypothetical, or like not literal, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I know what you're trying to say. Figurative.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was like a figurative thing, like, oh, he took me in like a father, or if it was like, oh, he's my biological father. He, contributed to giving birth to me, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, so this is one of the first official retcons, right? Because Big Boss does not say that in Solid Snake, right?
No.
We played that game. He never said that.
No.
Yeah.
I half expected him to actually say that in the game. But yeah, this is the official first retcon where Kojima was just like, you know what? Let's just say that he said that. No one played those games. But even Campbell says, like, only Snake and I know what really happened that day. And,
And Zanzibar.
And right, he says Zanzibar, but yes, Zanzibar land, the fictional place.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's official, like that he is his father, because even Naomi's like, that's patricide.
Yeah, she goes, knowing that you still killed him or whatever.
Yeah, and he's like, he wanted it, Some people just need killing, which I think is the reason Psycho Mantis is like, you're worse than me. Like,
yeah.
compared to you, I'm not so bad. Like, you're a piece of shit, Snake. Like, there's something wrong with you. For a fucking psychopathic mind reader to say that to you, you got to be a pretty bad guy. So that also kind of puts Snake into question. Like, are you even the good guy in this game?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so there's that twist. Yeah, that Big Boss is your dad. Well, he says that he's your dad.
That's right, because he does say, she says, he's your father, and he goes, that's what he told me.
That's what he told me, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we completely forgot about that. That was major.
I know, it's hard, because some of these things happen, in the codec call that you kind of might have glossed over, because we already know.
I tried to listen so hard, too. I was like, okay, don't forget about this. This is important. But I'm glad you brought us back to the torture room, because I would have totally forgotten about that.
But yeah, so sorry, I kind of did miss that for a second there. So Kriss, you didn't put the controller up to your arm to get the massage?
No.
Oh man,
I remember her talking about like, oh, I can like ease the pain for you or make you feel better or something like that. But I didn't even think about like, oh, my actual arm, I should try that. So
well, she tells you, she's like, put the controller up to your arm.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
But yeah, it feels good, and it's never long enough.
No.
Like, I was like, can you just leave it there for like a minute? My arm is pounding. Like,
same here. I was kind of, this revisit, I was kind of like, does she keep doing it if I keep calling? But no, just the one time.
Just the one. I'm like, and it's like 5 seconds, dude. Like,
yeah.
I think Mantis vibrates it longer than she does, man.
You know what I used to do? I used to save right there, go into the main menu, and you know how you can like test the strong and weak vibration of the controller in the options menu?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, so because you can change like captions off and on and whatever. That same screen, it says like weak and strong on the vibration.
Okay.
So if you move it left or to the right, it gives you that vibration. So you can. So I would just save and put the controller up to my arm and just like push it to like weak or strong and just like massage my arm. Like, yeah, fuck you, Naomi. I could do this on my own. But yeah, so there's that.
Pretty much at the tower again, right? That's where we were.
Yes, we're at the tower.
So, yeah, we're talking about the boba glitch, yeah.
Oh yeah, the boba glitch.
I always hated. I hate the tower, like we mentioned earlier. I do hate that section as well. And the reason I hate it is because fucking had to climb all the goddamn way up, which now, I mean, after many playthroughs, I just throw stun grenades. Don't even shoot anybody, obviously. Just throw a stun grenade. Maybe a couple seconds later, throw another one. You can make up that tower pretty damn quick with no issues. But I hate the fact that you gotta go up just so that liquid can blow up the fucking bridge. So you gotta go back all the way fucking down so that you can then, walk across that little bridge or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Just to go right back fucking up to, because Snake claims, like, he's waiting for me up there or whatever,
Yeah.
I just think it's silly. I think it's kind of like a little excessive. I think I'm already up there. Maybe just fight him. No. Oh, but you don't have the Stinger missile, so I guess you couldn't fight him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what drove speedrunners insane, because they were just like, this is the most tedious part of the game, and it's just like, if there was just a way, and I know, like, that door, everyone was probably looking at that door like, it's got to be here, because if it's open, you can go through, and you're at the bridge, so there's got to be a way to glitch it. So when that Twitch streamer did it, it was just like, whoa, my God, this is the holy grail. Like, they did it.
Yeah.
Within, I forget what it was, but like within 20 minutes to 30 minutes after she clipped it and posted, and she like even called out streamers like in a funny way. She was like eat that, speedrunners, or some shit like that. Oh, get wrecked speedrunners.
Yeah.
And obviously the speedrunning community wasn't like, well, fuck this bitch. They were just like, no, yes, please, how'd you do this?
How'd you do it? Yep. They started examining every frame, everything.
Yeah. Like the speedrunners Discord channel was like, has anyone replicated it? And like people recording themselves like, I think I did it, and that's a whole another story on itself. Like, there's like someone made a YouTube video on it, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
This is why I love speedrunning, is it's such a great community. Like, people, like, they just want you to succeed, even if it's not them holding the world record. They just want somebody to do it.
Yeah.
I agree. A healthy speedrunning community, which, as far as I know, it's most of all the ones I've seen or follow. It's when someone makes a breakthrough, there's like no hate. There's like no one saying like,
it's celebration.
No. Oh, it's like, what? How'd you do it? They build off of it. Every speedrunning, like I said, record that's been broken or whatever milestone that's been shattered, people celebrate. People honor and what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for here? The credit is given where it's due. Because plenty of people that have discovered strategies aren't even the ones that hold the record. They just discovered, hey, you can do this, and this makes, and then people that are good at the game use it, and like, obviously the glitches or the strats are named for that person, the boba glitch, the boba skip, or etc. So I think that's pretty cool that, like I said, it was something recently just found, and people used it to save, like you said, about 5 minutes or so. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, to any normie out there, they're like, 5 minutes, that's nothing. And it's like, dude, 5 minutes is an eternity. Like, holy shit, that's so much time saved. Like, even 30 seconds is like, dude, that's, that destroys another world record. Just Anyway, so you get up to the top. Liquid destroys the radio tower, basically, because there's like a satellite dish up there, which means you can't cross. So hopefully you picked up the rope. Maybe you can use that rope you got, and then you rappel down. And you get destroyed by vents, get all the way down. There's a bridge with 3 guys murder you over and over. How did you used to deal with those guys, German? I forgot to ask you.
Oh, I was going to say, I completely forgot they were there. This playthrough, like I said, it's been a minute since I played this one. I thought it was the Hindy shooting it, and so I equipped the damn a stinger. Oh no, I didn't.
No, you can't get the stinger yet.
Yeah. So it was just the Nikita missiles or whatever. I'm like, how the fuck did I get past this? And I called Colonel. Like I said, I'm a very heavy codec guy. I call it almost every room, any new room, anytime anything happens, I call. So I called, and they was like, oh, you're taking fire from a long distance or something like that. And they were like, do you have anything that can shoot from far away or something like that? And that's what I was like, the Nikita missiles, but I don't have them. Like, not the stinger, but I don't have them. Like, what the fuck do I do? And I think he straight up tells you, like, him or Miller tells you, like, you got a PSG-1, didn't you? And I'm like, I don't use that against the Hindy, and I equip it, and I see the damn 3. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about these guys. I was like, oh. So I sniped them this time, but and it did start bringing back memories of past playthroughs. I definitely do like using the Nikita missiles, and then going turbo on their ass and blowing them up that way.
That's what I did this time, just because it's funny.
Yeah. I didn't do it this time, but don't they try to shoot your missile down, right?
No, they didn't.
They don't. Okay, I don't remember if they didn't, but maybe Twin Snakes.
Also, so I had to start a new file today because I The run I was doing with the cutscenes was on extreme, and I got stuck at Psycho Mantis because I have like almost no health, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to do this damage list, and I was like, I can't. I just kept dying, so I was like, I'm just gonna start a new file on easy. So maybe on easy they don't shoot down the Nikita missile. So like I could be wrong about that.
It could also be a twin snake thing, but I don't remember. But yeah, so I've used Nikita missiles before, but sniper rifle is what you're supposed to, I guess, use.
Yeah, and you can take all three of them out if you get the shots off right, because it takes two headshots for some reason.
Yeah, I noticed that too, yeah.
So if you're like, pap, 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 and then you do the tactical reload and manage to get that last guy's head in your crosshairs, you can also double tap that guy and just do it in one shot.
I always used to like to shooting the missile and then going like a little to the right, like so not directly straight shot. And I don't know, just for fun, just go behind them as best, like from the side. I'm like, how do you not see this missile, bro? It's always fun. Like I said, I had fun playing this playthrough. Again, that was not taking it in any way like a super serious run, because I was like, I haven't played this in a solid 20 years. So I was like, I'm gonna have fun with it again. So I was definitely goofing around a lot.
Was that pun intended?
So I've been saying solid a couple times. It's a definite pun.
Solid.
No, but it was but then the Hind fight, which we haven't talked about, if this is Hindy's revenge or if this is Hindy's brother or someone, is this the first Hindy, Kriss? Do you think they rebuilt Hindy?
I'm guessing Hindy is just a brand of helicopter.
It's a title of
at
sorts.
This point. Yeah. And I want to say
a lot of helicopters do mini speed runs to get that Hindy title.
Yeah. I want to say in the beginning when they talked about they were sending the F-16s, and then you find out that the Hindy shot them down. I want to say Naomi said something about like, oh, it's a Russian helicopter, and it's like one of their best or something like that, and so I think I kind of gleaned from that like, oh, maybe it's not a specific helicopter, it's just a type of helicopter.
Yeah, it's a type of helicopter.
Colonel, what's a Russian gunship doing here?
I will admit, so now we're up to this section here. I like Hindy battle in Metal Gear 2 better than this one, personally.
Wait, hold on. Quickly, before we get to the Hindy fight.
Oh, sure.
We talked to Otacon.
Oh, yeah, we did part.
Because we tried to go down the tower, and for some reason, Snake can't jump down 5 feet.
Yeah.
It's just 5 feet, bro. Just jump down.
Yeah, that's true.
So you end up going all the way back. Oh, did you try the elevator first, Kriss?
I did.
Okay. So that if you didn't, that dialogue wouldn't make sense for him to be like, the elevator wasn't working.
Yeah, I was like, are you sure it's not working? And I wouldn't hit the button, and it gave me it did the thing, and
yeah. And so Otacon's like, it was working, like that's how I got here, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then Otacon gets all sentimental and is like, I came here to ask you a question. And Snake's like, what? And Otacon's like, well, I wanted to know if what is it? If you've ever been in love or...
Yeah, and I was like, are you coming on to me?
Yeah, what's happening here?
There is a little bit of bromance sometimes. I forgot how there's bromance in this first game.
Yeah, but mostly he's talking about like if love can bloom on the battlefield. Like it's a meme, like, do you think love can bloom on the battlefield? You'll see that everywhere once you get through these games and finally get to scour the internet for Metal Gear memes. And Snake's like, yeah, of course, I think that's possible, but you have to be able to protect those that you love. So he's feeling remorse for what happened to Meryyyyyll, and he's not sure if she's alive and whatever and whatnot. So there's that, and then he just tells Otacon like, I'm gonna go swat down a fly, and Otacon's like, what the fuck? So so you go up there, you get shot by a bunch of fucking gun turrets, I'm sure, before you realize you have to use some chaff grenades. And then yes.
Oh yeah, that took me. I died the first time when I did that. Yep.
Yeah, and then so then the Hindy fight. So proceed, German.
I was just stating, like, I mean, this one obviously looks nicer. You can actually see the Hindy compared to 2. Because in the Metal Gear 2, I think all you see is the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, like there's a lot of invulnerability moments for the Hindy where, like, even if he's not shooting at you and he's kind of flying low to the building or whatever, if you hug the wall, you just can't hit him until it's like lets you hit him. I don't know. Like I said, since we played Metal Gear 2 for the first time, at least my first time ever. I like that because you had the grid and it was like the 4x4 square, and you could just see the little dot of the hind D, and you would have to shoot the, what were they called in that game? Not stingers, right? They were.
I thought it was called Stinger in that game too.
Was it? Maybe it was Stinger in that game.
No, I think it was just rocket launcher.
Yeah, possibly. But regardless, like you had to like kind of aim ahead of it, so there was no lock on, if you will. I don't know. Yeah. I literally, when I was replaying this, I was just kind of like, because there's times where you can actually hit it with your rocket without being locked on, and obviously it won't do damage because it's locked on. And I thought it was just a little boring. I was like, man, I remember this chopper fight being a little bit funner, but I personally did not care for this fight. I have a new love. I have a new hindy. It's his older brother from Metal Gear 2. I mean, he was named named in the credits, so he was important.
Yeah, right, yeah. No, I love this fight. There's two phases to it. Like Kriss was saying, I kind of wish I knew if hitting it in different spots does do.
I know, we should test it.
Yeah, because I always feel like it knocks out the same amount of damage every single time.
It probably does, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna test it myself in this next week.
Yeah, here's some other cool things about this fight. I think it's why I like it. It's kind of like the Psycho Mantis thing where there's some hidden things. Okay. If you play this on hard or above, you don't have a radar, so you can't see where the hind D is on your radar when it's on the second phase, or even in the first phase. You really have to look with your eyes. But if you call Campbell, I believe he will tell you to use your ears, because the stereo will tell you what side of the screen he's on. Is he on the west or is he on the east? However, when I played this game back in the day in my room as a teenager, I had a TV that had mono sound. It did not have stereo. And so I had to, in the settings, before I started my game, I would have to go into the settings and tell it, hey, I don't have a stereo, I have mono. Because otherwise you're going to hear only like half the sound coming through the game. If you call them on hard or above and you set your settings to mono, they will make fun of you for it. They will be like, they'll be like, wait a minute, are you using a mono television?
They do.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, and they're just like, they just fucking roast you. And I just remember the last sentence. I don't remember if it's Naomi or Campbell, but I just remember them going, a mono TV, huh? Like it's such a thing of the past because this game is set in 2005, and I thought that was like a super dope Easter egg and fourth wall breaking stuff, similar to Psycho Mantis. So I think that's the nostalgia I have for it, because it's just like, man, I remember when you guys fucking
they roasted you.
Yeah, you hello roasted.
I know of the roast only because of like Did You Know gaming kind of videos.
Oh, okay.
I never got that message personally because I always had a stereo. So
yeah.
But I can see why that's embedded in your thoughts a little bit more.
Yeah, it makes it a special fight for me for sure. But yeah, so then you kill Liquid. You defeat him in the helicopter. Oh, and he keeps calling you brother, by the way, and you're like,
yeah,
who the hell are you? Why do you keep calling me brother? And he's like, ask the father that you killed, Mm-hmm. But yeah, you defeat him. The fucking helicopter explodes, and Snake has a very action star moment where the explosion happens as he's facing away from it.
Oh yeah, that part is pretty cool.
And he says, well, that takes care of the cremation. And it's just like,
yeah,
nice.
Definitely.
That's right.
Yeah,
couldn't have been delivered by a better person.
Yeah. Now, again, I think the other reason why it kind of bugs me is that we only went up there not because we needed to, because Snake said, I gotta go finish this. I gotta go kill this fucking fly or whatever.
Yeah.
And the elevator's blocked. But again, like, we could have jumped down and we could have kept going. What was Snake Liquid gonna do? Like, chase after us, like in the buildings, Yeah,
it was just kind of like a personal vendetta at that point.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely personal. But like I said, I just think it's definitely funny that that little action scene. Also, does this game, Luis and Kriss, I guess the question's for both of you as well. Do you get? I mean, we're far enough where I can ask this question. Do you get Die Hard vibes from this game?
Oh my god, I was literally, I was like, thank you for mentioning that, because I was like, don't forget to mention, yes, totally.
Kriss, I knew you would, Luis. Kriss, do you get Die Hard vibes?
I wasn't before, but now that you mention that, I I do understand. I get the connection. Yeah,
It's Die Hard the game. You're
It's
a
freaking
single
Die Hard.
dude. There's these towers, especially this part.
Terrorist.
Yeah, there's terrorists. There's these towers, a fucking helicopter that explodes.
Crawling in the vents.
You rappel down. It's
repelling down.
the elevator.
Yeah.
What do you call it? The action, the quirky one-liners, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
They're not as good as John McClane.
All that's missing is a dude with a Santa Claus hat and a message on his shirt saying, "Now I have a machine gun." Ho 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 ho. It's the only thing that's missing.
Damn, yeah, no, like I said, that's something that I'm sure lots of people relate to this because I think we've mentioned it once or twice before, Chris, that Kojima is a movie buff. He loves movies. I think he studied to make movies before, right, Chris? Luis, before he made games.
He did he study for that? What I know is for sure his childhood was very much revolved around movies. Like his dad would put movies on for him and just kind of not force him, but just like encourage him to appreciate the way movies were and stuff. And
cinema.
He would even encourage Kojima to stay up late and finish the movie before he went to bed, even if it was a school night. Like he wasn't like, okay, you got to go to bed now. I'd be like, no, you got to finish this movie and then you can go to bed. So
Dude, that's funny as hell. Like most parents are the complete opposite.
I feel like I would kind of be the same though, because it's like I want to pass these things on to my son. I want to be like, I don't want you to miss this ending. I know it's probably like another half hour and your mom's gonna kill me, but you have to see this ending. It's like otherwise you're not gonna be able to fall asleep. You're gonna be like, what happens next? Yeah, but definitely Die Hard vibes. Which is funny because Die Hard had a PlayStation game that did not do well. I do want to play it at some point, but I'm like, there's no way this game's gonna be better than fucking Metal Gear. Like, it's amazing.
But no, I just wanted to ask that because, like I said, this is the point in the game where I'm like, all right, if anyone's getting a Die Hard vibe, it's at least not obviously not everything, not DARPA Chief, Fox 9, none of that stuff, but just being in that tower, fucking pulling down the vents, just being a cool dude overall.
Oh yeah, the vents. Yeah, you're crawling through vents and shit. So actually you get a forced codec call after that, which I know Chris got because you said that you went over to the door and then saved. So Otacon mentions that the elevator's working again.
Yep.
And he didn't fix it. It just started moving on its own.
Yep.
And then Snake is just like, oh, Otacon says, what was that explosion? And Snake's just like, oh, I had to take care of that helicopter.
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
You what? Yeah. So shocked about that. Yeah.
Like he even calls him like an action movie. Like he looks like an action movie star when he's by the elevator. He's like, you're amazing, And Otacon's just like so like enamored by Snake.
He really is. Yeah. Which makes sense if he's into anime and Japanese animation, I should say. Japanese. What do you call it? Japanimation?
Japanimation, yeah.
Yeah. Like that's what he's into. So he's like a real life version of it. So yeah, he would be like, oh my gosh, you're my hero kind of thing. Yeah.
And Japanimation's all influenced by like Western action, which is funny because it's something I learned from my Japanese class. Is my sensei said that Japanese kids want to be American and American kids want to be Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
I
heard that too.
It's so weird. It's like that's why women are drawn with big boobs and in anime all the characters have big eyes because Americans have big eyes and women are voluptuous over here, and that's the way. That's why they're drawn that way in anime.
Grass is always greener on the other side. Mentality.
Yeah.
So is that where you left off, Chris? See it anymore?
I didn't go any further than that.
Okay,
I didn't want to like same as last time where I was like, I don't want any spoilers. I don't know if it's gonna like trigger another cutscene or what it's gonna do. So I'll just leave it there. So.
All right. So yeah, that's our second checkpoint. I want to bring up some glitches that I could not bring up in the first episode.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware of these or how many speedruns you've watched, German, but in the first area before you get to the DARPA chief, you can completely skip from that point into the torture room. Were you aware of that?
And personally, like me doing it, no, but I've heard about this skip. So
they call it the DARPA skip. Basically, you use a vent. You go into the vent feet first, and you go into first person view. You look up, and as you're looking up, you let go of, I forget, but you press the crouch button pretty much while you're still looking up, and you glitch through the vent, and then you're out of bounds. Now you're on the other side of the wall, and then you can walk over to the door of the torture room, because that's where the torture room is, right, Kriss? Mm-hmm. It's in that same beginning area.
Yeah.
And then basically you touch that door, and it triggers the cutscene of you in the torture room with the DARPA chief corpse.
Okay.
So you pretty much skip almost half the game right there. Like,
jeez, yeah.
For speedrunner time, that's about 30 minutes if you didn't use glitches. So I'm glad you didn't go into my streams, Kriss, because that's what I was doing.
You actually did it?
Oh, yeah. Like, I can do every glitch now almost perfectly. So I did that. You can also, if you don't do that skip, you could actually do the Meryyyyyll Codec Calls skip. So if you use the vent that you come in through downstairs in the tank hangar, you could also do that same glitch and then walk around the room with the suppressor and then touch the door that's on the other side of the lasers, and you'll skip the codec call and the laser room.
Huh.
So that's another one you can do. Also, that DARPA skip, if you're that much of a pervert, you can walk over to Meryll's cell and then get a much better look at whatever she's doing, because...
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you'll be right next to her and you can just go first person. So there...
Yeah, like I said, I've heard about that glitch, but I've never really, like, tried it myself, so I'll try it.
Yeah, look them up. I know how much you like to like break games, and usually I frown upon it, but I've played this game to death. I need new things to do. So
yeah.
So yeah, there's that. You can do the same thing on the little in the caves with the wolves. It saves you like 1 second, but you can do the same thing in that part where you crawl underneath to go into the caves.
Okay. And just get to the door where she's at faster?
No, but you just don't crawl as much.
Huh.
It literally saves like a second and a half. But that's for world record.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's optimization.
So if you do that skip, the DARPA skip, and you end up in the torture room, it's like, how do you progress, because you don't have half of your items?
Yeah.
So you have to do a bunch of weird things, but basically at that point you've defeated Vulcan Raven in the tank. You've defeated the ninja, Ocelot, and for some reason, not for some reason, but you've also defeated Psycho Mantis and Sniper Wolf, because all of those fights happen before you get tortured. So every time you enter those rooms, the little health thing happens.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, you rank up. So it's weird. I don't really want to explain everything you have to do with the weapons, but you do kind of do some weird weapon glitch stuff to be able to progress further, because by the time you get to the tower again, you have to do the boba skip, and then because you don't have what don't you have at that point that's necessary? I don't remember exactly, but yeah, then you can do the boba skip. But if you do the boba skip, those guards aren't there, and you haven't ranked up enough to pick up the stinger, and so you can run over the stinger, but it says you can't pick it up.
Really?
Huh.
But then it shows up in your inventory, but with 0 out of 0 ammo.
Interesting.
Which is really weird. And then you have to do this crazy glitch to get it to disappear from your inventory so that you don't trigger the Otacon conversation. And then you're able to get to the top of the tower. And as soon as you climb up that ladder, you don't go out to fight the Hind D. You just go back down the ladder, and then you've done the Hind D fight.
Wow.
Huh.
But that's as far as I'll go, because that's as far as we've gotten.
Yeah.
But
I'll look them up. I'll play with them for this week. So
yeah, I just wanted to mention those glitches. They're real fun.
What's on my list? That, the C4. See how many we can actually put down.
Oh yeah.
Anything else we got? But if I remember,
Any other Easter eggs? We did talk about the Easter eggs as they came along.
Pretty much, for the most part, we're hitting them up. There's probably tons more in the Codec Calls. That, like I said, Kriss, this game has a full book worth of Codec Calls.
Yeah.
That you can get by calling people different times and over again. So.
Okay, so now that we've gotten the story refreshed, it's time for our favorite segment. Ask Kriss, what do you think is going to happen now in the third we'll call it the third half.
Yeah, the third half.
The third half of this game. Now that people are even more sus than they were before.
Yeah.
Oh, especially with that conversation. We forgot again in the cell. So much things happen in the cell. Codec conversations. Naomi mentions that her grandfather worked for the FBI, and Master Miller kind of calls her out and says, "I thought you didn't have any family."
Yeah.
And she says, I looked all that stuff up after, I became a geneticist and whatever and stuff like that. So Naomi's sus again. So proceed, Kriss.
Mm-hmm. So I think Liquid Snake, I don't think that's the last we're going to see of him. Whether it's going to be like it was with Gray Fox in the original one, and there's like a second go at him in this game, or if it's going to be more like Big Boss, and it won't be until like the next game we see him, but I'm not sure which one it is quite yet, but I don't think that's going to be the last of him.
Okay.
It was too convenient a death for a seemingly important character, because they really not hyped him up, but they he was clearly an important character. He's your brother, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's not the last we're going to see of him, personally.
I mean, there's still so Sniper Wolf is still alive. Vulcan Raven's still alive. Revolver Ocelot's still alive. Cyborg Ninja's still alive. The only person you managed to kill was fucking Psycho Mantis.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
That's true, yeah.
You're a terrible mercenary.
Yeah, didn't they mention something Octopus? Whatever his name was.
Oh, Decoy Octopus. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's dead too, isn't he?
No, you have not run into him yet.
Okay. Because I thought they said something about that. I know they mentioned him when you were in the torture room or something. But I don't remember if they said he was dead or if he was just gone or what. But yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, they do actually. They mention it
in the torture room.
I believe it's a torture room. I believe it's Ocelot and Liquid. They say that he's dead.
They said that he's dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they had.
They do.
It was a scene where you're awake and you're looking up at the lights.
Yeah.
And they were just talking to each other, and then it's shortly after, oh, look who's here, look who's awake now.
Okay, well then that's also sus, because what the fuck happened to him?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, Colonel obviously he's still sus. I'm sus of Naomi as well. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, at least Colonel admitted he was holding stuff back from us now, whereas Big Boss didn't do that until the very end. So there's that, but I'm still kind of sus of him too. So we'll see how that turns out. But I think Colonel's going to be a big part of this. I don't think it's necessarily going to be another Big Boss thing. I think that'd be
redundant,
too on the nose. But I think he's got more to play. He's more in play with this than he appears to be. And I think that we will be running into Liquid Snake again at some point.
Okay.
And I think that the whole thing with Gray Fox is going to come to some dramatic end.
Yeah, because they talk about that in the torture room again.
Yeah.
This is where I learned about the minefield thing, right? Because he says that they fought in the middle of a minefield and they tried to kill each other, but they're still friends. And Naomi's like, "What? How can you guys still call each other friends? You tried to kill each other." And Snake says the most awesome line. He's like, "War is no reason to end a friendship."
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I think it's funny that Kriss has been hitting a lot of stuff on the head. He said it actually in the NGS 2, I believe it was one of those that he said you were friends but on opposite sides of the battle or something like that.
Yep.
And it's that's exactly what what Snake says. I was like, man, Kriss is fucking hitting his. I'm like,
yeah. When Kriss said that, I was like,
I'm literally going dude, is he fucking playing this like a fiddle? Is he fucking
Kriss is sus.
I looked it up noise real quick.
Yeah.
It's in that torture room and it says Liquid says perhaps there's a spy among us.
Oh,
Mantis is dead. We've also got to find out what killed Baker and Octopus.
That's right.
We're short-handed, so make this a little torture show of yours as short as possible. So it's an interrogation. Mentioned mentioned once, and Kriss picked up on it, so that's good.
I'm
glad
true,
he's
because the only other time they mention Octopus is in the intro,
in the very beginning. Yep.
Before you press start, they name all the guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I did go through that scene twice, so
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I was just about to give you credit. I'm like, Kriss is paying attention. No, he had to play through this twice.
He was 4.
Yeah.
Oh, and then a line before that, it made me laugh. Is Liquid says, it's like Ocelot says, "Boss, what about the ninja?" And Liquid says, "He's killed 12 men. Whoever he is, he's some kind of lunatic." I kind of sat here and I thought to myself, I think I've already killed more than 12 men myself.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Chris, but I'm like, I wonder how many fucking Chris is killed by this point. So I'm, like,
I'm definitely a lunatic.
I just think it's kind of funny that it's like 12. I'm like, dude, I've probably killed like 30 by now.
For sure.
Yep.
Let's see. Is there anything else that we can think of? I think we covered everything. Yeah. Well, I'm stoked though. We're at the finish line. One more week and we'll be done with Metal Gear Solid. And I just hope it's everything we've hyped it up to be so far.
It has been, yeah.
And also once you get to the end, because it's like I mean, Die Hard is a perfect analogy. I'm glad you brought that up, German, because you've been literally reading my mind this whole episode. Like,
well, cause we've played this. I mean, I think we've possibly talked about this before we started this podcast, and there's a lot of stuff that we agree on this. And like I said, I'm happy to be part of this because not only do you and I get to talk about this and kind of get our thoughts out there with people that probably agree or disagree with us, but now we're getting a first-hand look at a brand new person, Kriss, who has never played any of these. So it's kind of cool to say, like, for him to be like, oh yeah, now that you mention it, this is kind of like Die Hard,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, listeners, that'll do it for this week. This has been, what's the name of our show? Codec Calls, a Metal Gear Saga podcast. Yeah, we have our marching orders for the next one. Basically, beat the game.
Yep.
Do whatever you got to do to beat it. Don't look up any walkthroughs. You've been doing really good. I'm surprised you didn't look anything up for Psycho Mantis. That was a main concern of mine.
Yeah, I've been, like I said, I've been doing my best not to look at any walkthroughs, and I think I mentioned before too, like, I will come to you guys first if I get like super stuck on anything. But like I said, I keep getting people just telling me like, do codec calls, call someone, talk to someone, and that 99% of the time that fixes a problem. So
yeah, that's the best advice anyone can give you without giving you the answer, because that's what it's there for. The codec is there for that. So yeah, I have been Noise1, aka Luis. My cohorts over here will also say goodbye.
I thought you said Michael Hortz. I was like, who the fuck is Michael?
Michael Hortz will now say goodbye.
I'm Riser, Contra, and German. So thank you guys for listening.
I am Dammit Chris, aka Kriss, aka the world's worst gamer, and always appreciate you guys hanging out.
All right, we'll see you next time. Signing off.
Bye.
See ya.
Yes, sir. The entire episode is out now. Those three are still playing. More content? Yes, sir. Pixel-benders.com is the best place to find it. Yes, you can click the link in the description below. Yes, you can send your questions to info@pixel-benders.com. No, sir. It doesn't cost a thing to give the show a 5-star rating. That's right. Nobody knows you are the one that will keep this podcast alive. Yes. Thank you. Goodbye, Mr. Listener.